The story begins in this room. A mother was giving birth to a newborn baby, and it was a baby girl. The princess had been born. The maids were shocked and said that it was unexpected and asked how that could have happened. And the mother was really shocked and said that born as a girl in the Bylocian royal family, and the royal family of Bylocian, only boys were supposed to be born. And all of a sudden someone entered the room and said that a useless thing was born, and it was the father. And the maid told the father that the newborn had a mark of Narvidal, and those who were born with that tattoo all died at the age of 21. And the father turned back and left and said that he was not interested in it. The mother was crying and said sorry to her child for giving birth to her and bringing it into their world. The child was reaching her hand to her mother, and the maid was guessing that the child wanted to go to the empress. The empress was crying and hugged her child and said sorry for it. And the baby was telling her in her mind that it was totally fine. And someday, when she learns how to speak, she will definitely tell her that. Although she may never be able to master swordsmanship, still, her mind was quite sharp. And moreover, she knew about the future. She knew about the top candidates in the world, promising wizards of the future, magical engineers, and she even knew the names of businessmen. That world was from the novel she read before she woke up, after the villainess dies. Bylocian was the name of the royal family who appeared in that novel. A lineage with a peculiar tradition that reveres pure strength, valuing only strength as a person's worth, a ruthless bloodline that only considers children as heirs, and a family that has only given birth to boys for 500 years. Therefore, the swordsmanship of the Bylocian royal family was designed to suit the magical circuits of men, and women cannot learn Bylocian swordsmanship. Being born as a girl in Bylocian, where strength was everything, was akin to a curse. And the princess born in such a place was none other than her. Every time her mother was beside her, she always said sorry to her. And she always saw that her mother was crying again, and she was saying in her mind that she was okay though. When she first opened her eyes in that world, she was so surprised, wondering if it was a dream. But she figured it out rather quickly, because she had read it 17 times. Isabel in the story was terminally ill from birth, because she was born with the setting of Narvidal's mark from the novel. When all the sand in that little hourglass falls, death comes. In the novel, Isabel died at the age of 21, so at least until she was 21, she can live healthy and happy. After all, for her, whether it was today or tomorrow, it was just adding up to 21 years of life. She was hugging her mommy, and her mommy asked her if she was comforting her mommy and did she understand what her mommy's saying. And she was answering her mommy in a baby talk way. In Korea, she was an orphan. She started fighting cancer at the age of 4, she was often portrayed in the media as a child of misfortune, and thanks to numerous donations, she managed to survive in the hospital. Fortunately, despite her misfortune, she had a good study mind and many people congratulated and praised her. But in reality, she wasn't that happy and she was going to die soon anyway, so whatever. The empress was asking the maid if her child truly understands her, and the maid answered that she thinks so, and in her opinion, the princess seems to be a genius. Isabel was laughing and the maid thinks that she likes compliments. And her mother was smiling at her and said that even though she was not a genius, it was really okay and to just grow up healthy. And the empress hugged her and said that life was for her, and was a gift. Since ancient times, there has been a tradition in the Bylocian royal family. It was called the selection ceremony, which if they were to liken it to a Korean event, was similar to a stone-catching game. But it was on a different level from an ordinary stone-catching game, and as she expected, the lineage of Bylocian growth rate was incredibly fast. The maid told her that she just has to choose the sword she wants the most, and once people find out that their princess was a genius during the selection ceremony, she can't wait to see how amazed they will be. And the maid opened the door of the hall, and Isabel was really amazed and said in her mind that it was really dazzling, and it was the Bylocian royal family's hall of swords. She was looking at those men in the front together with her father and her mother, and asking if her place of possession was taken in heaven and if it was really okay to see those faces for free. She saw her dad before, but it was her first time seeing her brothers in person, and to think that those characters from the novel exist in real life. And she will be seeing those faces for 21 years, she thinks she can do it without getting bored. The black one in the middle, the great sword symbolizing Bylocian. And it was the sea wave, and the 10 other miscellaneous swords. For generations, the princes of Byloshan had chosen the sea wave in the selection ceremony. It was supposed to prove their lineage or something. She was saying in her mind that everything was fine and everything was good, but the problem was that today she came there to everyone in the first crisis of death. In the Sword Council, a powerful institution that greatly aided the founding of Byloshan, there were hardliners who didn't tolerate the princess, who couldn't learn swordsmanship welding the sea wave. So the moment she touched the sea wave, an assassin would come out and he was asking to herself if she was right. In the novel, it says she luckily survived. But she was not the Isabel from the novel, and being lucky to survive means if luck runs out, she will die, and she will never allow her death. And she was saying in her mind that it was right and asking how she died feeling unfair after seeing those faces. And he was thinking about the macarons, tarts, cakes, and tteokbokki. And she will eat lots of food she couldn't enjoy to her heart's content in her past life, because she was sick. And she cheered up herself and said to just wait and see, and she will try to enjoy 21 years to the fullest. So she needs to proceed differently from the novel, and the more variables the sword were, the more the situation will change. And all of the sudden told her to choose her sword, and she was thinking if she chose the sea wave, an assassin would appear, and if she chose another sword, she wouldn't have the qualifications to be a princess. And she was guessing that there was only one way, and to activate isekai cliché, choosing the emperor's sword there isn't an isekai. In an isekai, you should definitely choose the cold and arrogant father, and it was not a bad rationale either. After all, he was the empire's best sword. And so she was starting to crawl now and saying that thinking about the assassin made her so scared that her body froze. After she spent a few days there, she learned something. Even though she had all the memories of her past life, her body was that of a child, so her thoughts were inevitably influenced by her physical state. And she was moving forward, and saying that she had to forget her fears, and to forget something scary. And she was singing and said in her mind that the song she was singing was the best and singing makes her not scared. And her father was asking what that estranged child was doing, and the servant answered that there was a high possibility that the princess was instinctively memorizing magic chants. And the emperor was asking the servant if he was claiming that a 1-year-old memorized a magic chant, and the servant answered that it was a rare but definitely discovered phenomenon. And in the Mirotel Magic Federation, such phenomena was called innate chanting. And the emperor said that it was nonsense, and the servant was asking if the mother chanted innate spells at that age, and the emperor said that it was a very interesting phenomenon. And the servant said that the child was born had the Byloshan blood, and asked how can their princess of the Sword Empire memorize magic chants. Isabel was already in the stairs and she was amazed and said that the stairs designed for adults were that high. And she was still thankful no assassin appeared because she didn't choose the sea wave. And she was climbing to the stairs and saying in her mind to keep going up and fighting. She took a deep breath and said that it was fascinating, that she was moving like that, but her lungs and heart didn't hurt. And she was okay even if she didn't breathe carefully, even when she was out breathing it was still so enjoyable for her. In the past, when she breathed deeply, her chest used to feel tingly and hurt. And she was on her one last climb and she finally did it and she was asking if the Jumramwan was watching her. And at last, the moment she had been waiting, she called her mama and papa and she was saying in her mind that it was nice that her pronunciation was relatively good too. She hugged her father's leg and she felt it warm and smelled good. And all of a sudden her older brother said that his little sister was cute and said hello to Isabel, and Isabel was smiling at her older brother. And the third son came forward and asked his brother if he was not cuter, and the second son answered that he can't compete based on cuteness, but he was cuter, and the older brother said that Isabel was cuter than them. Isabel was laughing and she was asking what it was, and she didn't even want to laugh, but laughter came out, and guessing that maybe her brothers were dazzling. And she turned to look to the guys at Jumramwan can't even say a word, and they missed the timing for the assassin they prepared. And she said in her mind that after the selection ceremony, no Jumramwan won't be able to say anything. Because they will finish what they started, and she was not Sea Wave, but the Imperial Sword and she chose her father. And whatever happens, choosing her father was the essence of a romance novel and that's what she decided. And she said a word and touched her father, and she diligently practiced that pronunciation too, and she must make it clear that she chose her father's sword of her own will. And the Lord Beatun told the emperor that it seems that the princess had chosen a sword, and asked Isabel if he was right, and Isabel nodded at him. And Lord Beaton was really amazed and said that Isabel already can communicate, and Isabel was smiling at him. Isabel was being asked with Lord Beaton why she chose the Majesty, and Isabel answered, "Mama, Papa Stwang." Lord Beaton was laughing and asked His Majesty if he heard it clearly, and said that he was chosen because he was the Empire's greatest sword. And the Emperor was asking him if he really thinks that he can have a conversation with a child. And Lord Beaton answered that he was right, and the Majesty said that if someone was that forward, they would have been firmly disciplined. And Lord Beaton said that a 1-year-old can communicate, especially if they were intelligent from birth. And the Majesty said that if that was the case, then showed him proof. And Lord Beaton said that if he permits him, he will take responsibility and prove it, and the Majesty permitted him. And so he talked to Isabel and asked if she understood his words clearly, and it seems the Majesty doesn't acknowledge it. And said that since childhood, because the Majesty was so talented, and has a prejudice that if he can't do something, others can't either. And said additionally just because His Majesty couldn't communicate at the age of 1, doesn't mean that the princess can't do it. And Isabel was laughing, saying in her mind that she knew. Her father was a genius from birth, he accomplished everything he set his mind to, and because it was right, he always thought he was right. And ahead of everyone else. And he had quite a bit of pride and stubbornness. And all of a sudden Lord Beaton asked the princess if she would like to try winking her eye like that, and Isabel was winking her other eye, and Lord Beaton told her to try with the other eye, and Isabel winked her eye just like the Lord said. And her mother and older brother were laughing at her. And the Lord said to His Majesty that the princess winked twice and asked if he would acknowledge that as evidence. And Isabel saw that her father was suddenly glaring at her, her father moved and she lost her balance and she was going to fall, but fortunately her father caught her. And the way her father lifted her was so ridiculous, and everyone was watching him. And she felt embarrassed and covered her eyes, and then suddenly her father asked what her name was, and she answered Isabel. And asked again Isabel what his name was, and Isabel answered Ram Lotion, and she was being asked if she chose him, and she answered yes. And she was being asked again if she understood all his questions to her, and Isabel answered yes. And she gave Isabel to Lord Beaton and said that the princess had chosen a sword. And the Lord Beaton was being asked which sword did the princess choose, and Lord Beaton answered that Ran Lotion. And her father said that the swordsmanship Empire's Lotion, the final sword. And Isabel chose Her Majesty the Emperor, and the secretary will record it. And the selection ceremony ended safely that day, and everyone was clapping. After the selection ceremony, she felt dizzy. The same kind of dizziness she felt every time before losing consciousness in her past life. And she was asking to herself, could it be that she was being punished for changing the original work? And she feels scared. After losing consciousness like that, she feels like she will wake up in the hospital again. A place filled only with the smell of medication, with no mom, no dad, and no one. She hated it, and she doesn't want to faint again, and she doesn't want to be in pain like that again. Somebody said that she was born like that because of a sin committed in war, and she was asking for forgiveness for her sin and said that she was okay with only living until she was 21, and she was really well. And she was thinking about her family and said that she will take care of everyone there too, and she won't even ask to love her, and pleaded to let her live until then. And she suddenly feels warm, and she feels unfamiliar being held by someone. And when she opened her eyes, she saw that her father was holding her and said that it looked like she had finally woken up. She was shocked, and she was staring at her dad, and the Lord was asking her if she was very tired, and said that now that the selection ceremony was over, she can sleep some more. And told her that she did really well today. She was nervous and she couldn't, she had to endure it, and her tears were going to fall. Then she suddenly cried in front of her father and the Lord. The original Lotion royal family was a bloodthirsty family without blood or tears. Even if they have a baby's body, a crying child can be cast aside and can be abandoned. Her father was looking at her, and the Lord was smiling and amazed. Her father said that she was a noisy child and she was still crying. Tears were pouring out against her will, and they didn't stop, and she was holding tight to her father's suit and said in her mind that she doesn't want to be abandoned again. The Lord said that she seemed quite bothersome and offered to take care of her, and the Highness said that he will do it. And she was mesmerized that babies seem to always look for their mother, and maybe it was all instinct that she misses her mother. And right on time, her father gave her to the Lord and she stopped crying. And the Lord said that it seemed that he was more comfortable to sleep on, and the Majesty told him that probably because his muscles were gone. And the Lord was smiling and said that she will bring back the princess to her room, and the Majesty walked away. He was talking to the princess and said that he was glad she seemed to have a smile on her face. And said additionally that after all, even though she were so cute, if she wouldn't have a smile, she wouldn't be a human, and she would be a monster. Isabel laughed and she said that she likes Lord Beaton, and Lord Beaton was asking if she really does. How could anyone not like him? To think that the other side of such a kind and meticulous person was a former assassin and sword ghost. And Isabel was thinking that that was undoubtedly a mistake by the author. Lord Beaton put Isabel on the crib and he was smiling, staring at her, and said in his mind that Isabel was honest, cute, and so lovely. A few months later, she was happier and a big cute little baby. She sleeps when she is tired, when she opens her eyes, she eats. After eating, she grows up, and creates an endless loop. In the meantime, her vocabulary skills had also grown rapidly. Her mama was hugging her and asking why she was so good at speaking, and the nurse said that Isabel was not just not good at speaking. It said that the way she expressed affection was rich and mature. It was really surprising to her that she was so cute yet had adult-like qualities. Moreover, just a while ago, she showed her how to directly flip over and so on. The mother was laughing and Isabel was laughing too, and her mom and the nurse always observed her with affectionate eyes like that, and she didn't mind their attention. The mother and the nurse were still talking, and the nurse said additionally that they say a child who memorizes magic chants was almost non-existent even in the Mirotel Magic Federation. And the mother was asking if it really was, and the nurse answered that it was. And all of a sudden the two of them were shocked because Isabel was doing some push-ups. And her mother and the nurse were so happy, and Isabel was saying in her mind that she never thought she would be such an attention seeker. She was doing something at 2 years old that some can't even do at 20, and she was asking herself, is it because of the Bilotian physique? The princess could split rocks with a sword at the age of 10, when you think about it that way, it was not as surprising. Isabel was still making some attention for her mother and the nurse, and all of a sudden there was someone getting inside the room and asked them what's making them so happy. And it was Isabel's dad, after the selection ceremony, hearing her dad's voice after a long time. Her mother stood up and praised the Majesty, and asked if he could please knock on the door before entering the room. The emperor turned back and closed the door, and all of a sudden he knocked on the door, and her empress opened the door for him and asked if her beloved emperor was there. And the emperor said that he knocked this time, and her empress said thank you and I love you. Isabel knew that look of her father, it was shyness. It is said that though her father has never loved his children, her mother loves him very much. Despite being the strongest in the world with his swordsmanship, he was still at the mercy of her mother. While the nurse put Isabel in her crib, the empress and the emperor were still talking outside the room. The empress was asking the emperor why he sounded so harsh, and the emperor answered that it was not like that. And the empress told her emperor if he said so. Otherwise, it was very sad and painful for his empress. That's why Isabel usually tries not to make mistakes, not to mention in the novel, her father probably spent the next day consoling her mother. Well, she couldn't do much, Mom suffered so much to give birth to her, but in the imperial family, being a girl was almost like a curse, and even having the Narvidal mark. Still, come to think of it, she was asking those were still hurtful words. And she smiled, closing her eyes, and said that she will think positively. In any case, she was not entirely normal either. And thinking that just now her father came looking for her mom because he missed her mother. He heard her happy voice from the room and got jealous, so he came in. Her dada was the strongest character in the world, rivaling the male protagonist. Her dad's only weakness was her mom. The decisive reason for his defeat by the male protagonist was because of her mom. After her mom died, her dad stopped eating and drinking and saying that a world without the empress was truly empty. He, who had dedicated his life to the revival and prosperity of the empire, lamented and wept in such a way. Gradually, he weakened and eventually, he was defeated by the male protagonist. The empire then fell into ruin. Isabel was jumping up and down on her crib, and saying that on the outside, her father may seem rough and fierce, but in reality, he was a sweet guy who only cares about her mom. And wanted to see her dad's face one more time. While she was playing in her crib, her diaper feels heavier today for some reason, and all of a sudden her father was looking at her. Isabel was calling her mama and papa, and her father was asking what she was doing. And the Empress answered that Isabel was calling for him, and the Emperor was staring straight at Isabel, and Isabel said in her mind that she felt like she was being sucked into her father's eyes. And come to think of it, she and her father had the same eye color, and she suddenly said "I love you" to her father, and the Emperor was asking what was just Isabel said. Isabel was really shocked and asked herself why did she say it, and if that was also the influence of that body, and she remembered that she had been put in a body that can't resist instinct. Her father came closer to her and told her to say it again. Isabel was so nervous and said that she was surprised because her father suddenly approached her. She was smiling at her father, and her father was asking her what she just said and wanted her to try again and speak. And she was asking herself if she did something wrong. She was in a long silence and she felt both scared and embarrassed. Isabel was laughing in front of her father and thinking that even though they were father and daughter, it was not like they had any intimate interactions with each other. And she suddenly talked and asked her mother and father if they were angry with her. And looking at her father, that was obviously upset, and she said sorry in her mind. Her mother answered that she was not mad at her, and it was just that her father was more shy than he looks. And told the Emperor that he can be honest in front of her daughter, and he doesn't have to look so scary in front of his family. And the Emperor just stared at the Empress, and the Empress asked Isabel what she says to her every day, and Isabel answered, "Are you shy, and do you want a hug?" And her mother told her why don't she try it with her dad, and Isabel was really shocked, asking herself if her mother was sure that she should do it right now. And so Isabel tried it out and asked her father if he could hug her, and her father asked her if she really wanted her father to hug her, and she answered yes, and her father asked why, and she was asking herself too why. She remembered to herself that it was him, her father. Isabel was thinking that it was embarrassing, and her father was looking at her and thinking that she was bothering him a lot, and asking himself, does she think it suits the Princess of Bilotion to act so spoiled? Isabel expected that reaction and she was about to fall on her back again. And abruptly her father held her up and she was being asked if she still can't balance her body right. And her father gave her a hug, and it isn't holding her like at the selection ceremony, and her father really hugging her. And she felt a little bit uncomfortable though, and her mother was expressing something, and it came closer to the Emperor and told it that he needed to support Isabel's head with his other arm so that her body doesn't lean and make her uncomfortable. And said additionally that he can think of it as enveloping Isabel in his arms, rather than just lifting her up. And the Emperor said that Isabel was too light, and the Empress said that for His Majesty, she supposed he was right. And the Empress said that the other maids in Ruruka said that Isabel was quite heavy and she was sure Isabel was a little bigger than Sermon. And said additionally that they were worried about Sermon because he was their first child, and he was a Bilotion, so his growth was a little slower, and yet Isabel grew so well and she was sure Isabel will grow up so strong. And she came closer to the Emperor and touched Isabel's face and asked if it wasn't that right, and Isabel smiled at her. Isabel can feel their body heat, and she was asking if this is how it feels to be protected by your family. In her past life, she didn't even get to know her dad, let alone see her face. That was because her father abandoned her when she was just a small child. But it was different now. Her mother and father were comforting her and making her happy all the time. Her mommy and daddy had a present for her, and all of a sudden her daddy was speechless and said that he was just thinking about something else. Isabel was asking in her mind what it was and why the atmosphere was like that. Somehow, she feels like she can't breathe. The Empress talked to the Emperor and said that she thought the strongest heart was the one that can cherish precious things the most and love his gentle self. Isabel feels an intense heartbeat to his father, and her daddy was really weak against her mommy. And she was worried her father might explode at that rate, but oh well, she guessed it was okay, and she closed her eyes and felt the moment with her father. She had no intention of interfering with their love life, and she was asking if she should just step back at that point. Since she knows when to interfere and when not to interfere, she will just take a trip to Dreamland. She slept in his father's arms and was with her the whole day. After that day, while the Emperor was walking in the hallway, he said that he felt strange, asking is it because Isabel wasn't born in Bilotion, or is it because she was a child who resembles Serna a lot? He was confused. That child won't be able to learn Bilotion swordsmanship, and weak Bilotion will be weeded out. They will be easily defeated in the succession competition, and naturally fall behind in the war against external forces. Just like everyone else had, she suddenly asked, then what about that child? And can a Bilotian who can't learn swordsmanship truly be called a Bilotian? And asking can they be called the successor, a royal, and they will die at the age of 21. And he was confused about it, and what an irrational and useless distraction it was. And he was thinking that fate was already determined anyway, and his mind was in turmoil. Late at night, the emperor went to Lord Beatun and he said that he wanted a duel. Lord Beatun was really shocked asking that out of dawn. The emperor told him that 20 years ago, this was what he did every day, and Lord Beatun said that assassination was his previous job, not him. And the emperor swung his sword and Lord Beatun was dodging at it and said that His Majesty represents fairness and justice. The emperor said that he had such a long tongue, and Lord Beatun was asking how can he suddenly attack someone like that, and the emperor said that it seems he was lying about her previous job. Time passed quickly, and here she was at the age of 3. So of the remaining 21 years, 2 years have passed in vain. Her previous life may have been short, but it was rich in experience and she must use the remaining time wisely. The maid told her that her mother has arrived and they will go now. And she was looking outside the window and answered yes to her nanny. Her growth was somewhat rapid because she was a Bilotian. She was not sure, but in the Korean model she could be about 5 years old. Her pronunciation was still not perfect, but she was at a level where there was hardly any difficulty in speaking with adults. Her nanny told her to walk slowly, but she was running and she fell to the floor. She can walk and run. Sometimes she stumbles, but because of her strong body, she rarely gets injured. While they were drinking some coffee, her mother told her that Lord Beatun will be coming starting on that day, and he will be his first teacher, and advise her not to lose her morals. She suddenly asked if it was really Lord Beatun and not Moliab, and her mother answered that Moliab no longer works for them, and she was asking why. And her mother said that Moliab was a veteran teacher from a historical educational family in Bilotian, teaching Bilotian princes for generations. According to the original work, her teacher should have also been Sir Moliab. And she was asking her mother why she chose Lord Beatun, and her mother just answered okay and asked her if she wanted to ask Lord Beatun herself about that, and Isabel answered sure she would. Every time she spent with Lord Beatun it was always enjoyable and she really liked him. Moreover, he was a swordsman from the magician family, he can also use magic. Among all types of magic, she liked flying magic more than others. And all of a sudden Lord Beatun arrived and made a greeting to the empress and the princess, and said that he, Lord Beatun, will be in charge of the princess's education starting from today. Isabel jumped down to her chair and said good morning to Lord Beatun, and Lord Beatun said good morning to her too and smiled to each other. And the empress was laughing at them, and she pleaded Lord Beatun to take good care of the princess, and Lord Beatun answered yes to His Majesty. The empress leave the room and Isabel was asking why was Lord Beatun the teacher. And Lord Beatun was asking if she didn't like it, and Isabel said that no, but first and foremost, Sir Moliab was her teacher. Lord Beatun acted like he was sad and said that the princess only liked Sir Moliab and he was going to cry. Isabel said no, and Lord Beatun asked why. When he cried, she felt uncomfortable. Is that true? Isabel answered that if he really cried, it would bother her. Lord Beatun was amazed with her through his skillful acting. Isabel gets annoyed and told him that it was a bad habit, and Lord Beatun asked what. Isabel told him that he deliberately used difficult words and it was bad, and if he did it again, he would turn into a bad beetle. Lord Beatun answered that he was such a fool and he won't do it again. That was somewhat cryptic, as if it were a test, but Lord Beatun deliberately used words like amazing, skilled, and aware. And it seems he was wondering whether she understood these words or not. And so she told Lord Beatun that they will talk about what they share and things like that, and Lord Beatun said that he hopes they agree well. And abruptly said that because she won't live long, and her death was near anyway. And Lord Beatun was really shocked and asked that there was no way she could understand what death was. And the maid passed by and Lord Beatun asked who was that neglectful person who dared to speak about the Narvital seal in front of the princess, and the maid was really scared because Lord Beatun was looking at her. And the maid was saying in her mind that she didn't mean it, and Lord Beatun's image suddenly flashed in her memory in the form of the sword devil. Isabel gets angry and says not to bully weak people, and Lord Beatun said that it was a misunderstanding and he was strong for the strong and weak for the weak. Isabel asked why don't he talk to her and why he was angry with her nanny. And Lord Beatun was a little bit shy and said sorry and he was wrong. And Isabel said that however, he didn't make a mistake towards her. And so Lord Beatun said sorry to the maid and the maid said that she was really fine. And Lord Beatun asked if she could forgive him now, and the maid said that she will forgive him, but don't do it again, and Lord Beatun answered yes and he will be careful from now on. And suddenly asked who it was, who told the princess about the Narvital seal, and Isabel said that she heard it from the midwife. And Lord Beatun asked if she heard it from the midwife and did she mean she had heard it since her birth, and Isabel answered yes. Lord Beatun asked Isabel if she remembered that time and Isabel answered yes. And she told Lord Beatun that her mother cried after her birth. Everyone started saying that. And that's why she was born to be useless to her. And she was thinking that getting memories since birth was impossible in reality, and she was asking will Lord Beatun really be convinced with this? And Lord Beatun said if really was and she must be sad, and Isabel answered no and she was fine now, and thinking that actually, she was very happy after being incarnated, and she thought the reason was that her father's words were too trivial. And she was reaching her hand to Lord Beatun and Lord Beatun hold her hand, and all of the sudden Lord Beatun told her that she had jelly in her hand now. In this part of the palace, while the emperor was doing something with his sword, Lord Beatun asked if a 3-year-old child understood death, and the emperor asked if that was possible. And Lord Beatun answered he thought so and it was possible if he saw it. And the emperor said, and yet Isabel seemed indifferent. Lord Beatun said that Isabel was calm, and not only that. The princess remembers everything she heard since her birth. And the emperor said that at that time, when he went to see the princess, Lord Beatun asked if he could say something useless about her birth. And he was really shocked and asked why he did that. Emperor asked what did Isabel say, and Lord Beatun answered that she was fine. The emperor was staggered, and Isabel says that despite understanding everything, and Lord Beatun answered yes. And the way she said those words was incredibly calm. He felt his heart was breaking when he heard them. And the emperor said that Isabel can't learn their family swordsmanship technique, and Lord Beatun said that yet that doesn't mean she was useless, and asked why on earth did he say that. The emperor turned back a look and said that it seems he had come to interrogate him, and Lord Beatun answered that he was not interrogating him, and he was just there to inform him. The emperor was holding his sword and told Lord Beatun to take his sword, 'cause it's been a while since they last sparred. And Lord Beatun was really shocked and said that they did it late at night a few days ago, and the emperor swung his sword to him and he actively dodged it. And the emperor asked him why was the swordsman stepping back, and Lord Beatun said that he was not a swordsman, and he was a teacher now. The emperor told him to stop dodging, and Lord Beatun said that if he stopped he would be stabbed. The emperor struck him again and he slid on the floor. The emperor was asking himself if he was upset, and he had a lot of regrets, and told himself that he deserved it. After that day, Lord Beatun, who became his tutor, came to her room every day. Even if she couldn't learn the art of swordsmanship, there were many things she could do. She did her best in everything. While Lord Beatun teaching her, she suddenly said that she had something to show him. Isabel showed a picture, and Lord Beatun was amazed and said that it was an excellent painting and asked who gave it to her. Isabel acted something and told Lord Beatun guess who, and Lord Beatun was thinking and he was sure the princess didn't draw it. And all of a sudden she said that actually she drew it. Lord Beatun was really shocked and asked was the princess really the one who painted that amazing painting. Isabel was so happy and asked if it was true, and she was good at drawing. Lord Beatun was thinking that this perfection was as if the spirit of Michelangelo, the artist of the century, was trapped in the princess's body. Isabel was asking if there was a spirit trapped in her body, and Lord Beatun said that it was a joke. Lord Beatun said that if something strange like that happens, the holy knights will immediately move to subdue that spirit. Isabel asked why Michelangelo was a bad person, and Lord Beatun answered that if there was a spirit that has taken over someone else's body, it would certainly be an evil demonic spirit, and it was called possession. Isabel was really shocked and asked if it was really a possession, and Lord Beatun answered yes, and that's why there were holy knights. Isabel said that it was scary, and Lord Beatun told her not to worry, they have holy knights. If an evil demon takes over someone's body, they will get rid of it immediately. And said additionally that some of his friends were holy knights. He will introduce her to them later, and Isabel said no because that type of person was silly. Lord Beaton said that they aren't very busy these days, and Isabel said no, and he can't bother people like them, otherwise they will get angry with him. Lord Beaton was really amazed, and he can't believe she thought that way. How can a 3-year-old child be so promising? And so he told Isabel that no, and she didn't have to feel burdened, because the person she was talking about was the leader of the Holy Knights. And since he has a very high position, it will be easy for him to make time for himself and not to worry. And Isabel was smiling but sweating and nervous and saying in her mind that not to bring him, the leader of the Holy Knights who kills possessed spirits. She didn't want to meet him even in her dreams. And she was thinking about it. When did she start drawing? Since she was little. When she was young, she had a dream of becoming a painter. There were only a few things that could be done in a hospital room, and drawing was one of them. And all of a sudden Lord Beaton asked her if it really was since she was little. Then Isabel realized that her answer was wrong, and made a mistake. No matter who hears it, was not something a 3-year-old would say. And she was asking herself what she should do and how she explained it. And all of a sudden Lord Beaton said that he understood it, and Isabel was so happy because it really did go well. And Lord Beaton was thinking in his mind that yes, even a 3-year-old child had a childhood. Even children had their own childhood years. And the princess thinks she has grown up a lot. And he acted and said that the princess was so cute it made his heart ache. Isabel stepped down on her chair and asked Lord Beaton if it was okay, and things went well, didn't they? And Lord Beaton answered that he was fine. Lord Beaton smiled and asked what he should do when their princess was cute. And all of a sudden Isabel said that she was bored and asked what they should play, and she asked Lord Beaton if they should play ball. After that day, Lord Beaton went to the emperor and showed something. And the emperor was asking what it was, and Lord Beaton answered that it was an abstract painting depicting His Majesty. The emperor gets annoyed and asks Lord Beaton if he was there to throw trash in his face, and Lord Beaton gets annoyed too and says how can he say that about such a wonderful picture. The emperor said that it looks like a dull painting by some fool who claimed to be an artist for a new silver coin. Lord Beaton said that let him say that again. He regretted it a bit this time, but he didn't draw it this time. The emperor asked who, and Lord Beaton answered that it was a picture drawn by a 3-year-old child. But there were some unusual things about that picture. And said additionally that it was clearer and the lips were soft. The nose also seems a bit sharper than it was in reality. In addition, the texture of the skin was very beautiful. It seemed to have an aura of handsomeness. And the emperor asked didn't he say it was an abstract painting? And he told the emperor to look closely. Above all, his eyes were very clear. And said that the Majesty he knows always seems like an evil person with a harsh aura, even a grim look in his eyes. And an arrow dart was thrown on his way and it passed perfectly side of him, and he was so scared and said that he bought those clothes with the money he saved from his salary and that it was expensive. The emperor said that he asked it after tearing it up and will make sure to compensate for that, and if he was done talking, move out of the way because he can no longer bear noise. But Lord Beaton couldn't keep his mouth shut, and he told the emperor that the 3-year-old child was the princess. And the emperor was really shocked and asked what, and Lord Beaton answered that what amazed him more than anything was the princess's observation skills, and he could recognize amazing things instantly. And said additionally that even though she hasn't met her often and only spent a short period of time together, she draws with amazing detail. And those deep observations must come from genuine affection, and asked the emperor if he still has not seen Isabel's warmth and love for him. But the emperor was silent, and Lord Beaton said that he knew something like that would make him very happy, and the emperor asked what he meant. And Lord Beaton asked the emperor, don't he know that the princess loves him very much? Last time she told you that she loves you, didn't she? And the emperor asked Lord Beaton if he was feeling jealous now, and Lord Beaton answered who would be jealous of something like that? He was a human or a dung beetle, and that was extremely unfair. He even threatened the head chef to dock his pay if he didn't make the jelly that the princess loves, yet he hasn't heard her say that even once that she loves him. She even leaves quickly as soon as the class ends. The emperor said that the words and actions of the princess's teacher seemed very rude, and Lord Beaton tried to lower his voice, and that was not the important part. The emperor told Lord Beaton to maintain his dignity within the imperial palace. And he was being asked what he really wanted to say. Lord Beaton was a little bit scared of the emperor and asked didn't he tell him to leave earlier and he was just dying in jealousy. The emperor was exasperated and told Lord Beaton not to hesitate and speak quickly, because he knew he didn't come there to talk about that. And Lord Beaton said that since His Majesty was speaking so seriously, he couldn't help it and he didn't know if he would believe it, but it seems the princess had an excellent talent for magical engineering. The emperor was shocked and asked about magical engineering Lord Beaton was saying and Lord Beaton said yes. And he had one request for the princess. And said that in order for the princess to receive a more professional magical education, he hopes he can provide her with a teacher. And the emperor asked if it was a teacher, he was asking him to bring a mage and Lord Beaton answered yes and it was correct. The emperor was shocked and told Lord Beaton that perhaps he doesn't know it, but mages were not allowed in the palace and asked him if he had any proof of what he said. Lord Beaton answered that although he was still skeptical, he had reasons to be confident and the emperor wanted him to tell him. Lord Beaton said that as he knew Isabel's talents in magical engineering were generally divided into 3 categories. Magical engineering is a study that uses magic to solve problems through engineering. First, the ability to understand magic and the affinity with mana that one was born with. This had already been proven through the birth baptism and mana resonance. Second, the ability to create magical engineering blueprints, including magic circles. Third, basic dexterity and keen observations were essential and that had been proven in that drawing. And finally, mathematical talent, and the emperor was asking him for example. Lord Beaton answered that understanding the concept of numbers at just 3 years old, and the talent for performing mental calculations. And count the jelly accurately, that was very impressive and given those various aspects, he believes the princess has a natural magical talent. The emperor was still thinking and Lord Beaton smiled and asked His Majesty if it could allow him to find a magic teacher. After 3 months, Isabel and her new teacher were drinking some coffee and she was being asked how she was and she answered that she was fine. Her teacher said that she was glad to hear it. She was Karen, she was a first-class mage belonging to the Mirotel Magic Federation. In the original work, she was a terrifying mage with great ambitions. A cunning and intelligent woman who would do anything to achieve her goals. She betrayed her teacher and took his position as Master of Mages, the highest position in the Magic Federation. And she was a meticulous and cunning woman who even deceived her teacher, a psychopath woman. Moreover, despite obtaining the Mirotel Magic Federation, she wanted to create a massive empire that would dominate the entire continent. In the process, she encounters the male protagonist Aaron who becomes the emperor. But the protagonist Aaron, no matter how strong her dark magic was, in the end she couldn't defeat the main character. That's why Aaron defeated her several times, and in a shameful manner, she put the Narvital curse on the heroine. In the end, she left her will to Aaron and closed her eyes. Unfortunately, she doesn't know what happened after that. At that time, everyone was shocked by the heroine's death. But at that moment, another twist appeared, the fact that the heroine herself was a dragon. Not to mention her death, who could have thought she was a dragon? In this world, dragons were the masters of magic, they were known as the creators of all magic. They were the only beings capable of nullifying the Narvital mark. From the beginning, it wasn't possible for an ordinary mage curse to work. After that incident, the heroine sealed her own memories, but she was self-aware as a dragon. The story then says she ate well and lived well, showing various side effects with Aaron. In other words, the male protagonist was the strongest there. It was a tightly woven story that even the strongest female characters can't penetrate. And it will take another 18 years for that story to properly start. However, the maximum duration of her life was when the villainess dies, which was only 3 years, and she was asking why has the villainess already appeared. The introduction hasn't even started yet. Her teacher told her that her skin doesn't look good and wondered if she was okay in any way. Isabel answered that she was fine, and thought that she had a child's body so she couldn't calm down as she wanted, and it was a big deal for her and she asked herself what should she do now. At the age of 3, she was facing the biggest ordeal of her life. This was mentioned directly in the novel. Karen was skilled at perceiving the other person's psyche and exploiting their weaknesses. To clarify, Karen noticed that the heroine was slightly different from ordinary humans. Using that as a pretext, she began to constrain the heroine, and the heroine also faces many problems, But what's happening to her now was way too early. And just imagining it makes her stomach hurt, and if Karen discovers her secret, something truly irreversible will happen. She had already done too many suspicious things. A logical and rational demeanor might indeed have raised suspicion. Now she can't just turn her head like an adult, the child state clearly shows his emotions on his face. And she was thinking that there was only one way. Teacher Karen was going to touch her, then she suddenly said that she wanted Lord Beaton, and Lord Beaton teaches her various subjects and she really wanted Lord Beaton. And Teacher Karen asked her, does that mean she doesn't recognize her as a teacher, and Isabel answered yes, and she wanted Lord Beaton to teach her because she likes him more. And then she suddenly screamed so loud and wanted Lord Beaton to bring her, and she laid on the floor. And she was thinking that the cry of a 3-year-old child, let her show the childish instincts she had been struggling to suppress, and give her the rhythm, and listen to the drum beats. She was still screaming and the maid heard it outside the door, and she tried to open her eyes and guessed that her teacher Karen must be disturbed a bit. And her teacher was silent and staring at her. Isabel felt scared, and Karen was different from her father. And she suddenly stops and holds on for crying and screaming, and thinking that originally, the one who stops Karen was Aaron, the protagonist, isn't it? And for Aaron to wake up, he must first be tortured. The original story revolves around Aaron's awakening, the boy who was severely bullied by the villainess. The story revolves around him becoming the strongest in the world. And she was asking what got her into that, and if she doesn't care, will the protagonist be awakening? Even if he did, he won't harbor a grudge against their empire, so he will never attack the Bylosian imperial palace. So, if Aaron didn't become emperor, does that mean there won't be a protagonist to stop the other villainess? The reason Karen confronts Aaron was that Aaron later becomes the emperor of Bylosian. And she was guessing that Karen and Aaron won't have to fight anymore. And she was asking, does that mean that the person who will fight this villainess was likely to be from their family, and should they leave it like that? Karen's goal was to control the world. Regardless of who becomes emperor, they will clash at some point. So maybe it was safer for her to leave Karen by her side. Originally, the two strongest people in this world were her father and the protagonist, but her father became weak after losing her mother. But if she lives a good life, they won't lose her mother, and then her father won't become weak. Her father was the only person other than the protagonist who can defeat the final villainess, but her father, the wise one, won't sit idly by and watch Karen lose her way. Isabel was asking herself what she should do. Should she just pretend that there was nothing? And anyway, it will take 20 years before Karen's catastrophic activities begin. And that time, she won't be in that world, but she had received 21 New Years as a gift. Even if it wasn't something great, she wanted to leave something behind in that world. And her teacher said that if things continue like that, teaching will be difficult. Magic is a study that requires deep and intimate interaction between the teacher and the student. If that doesn't happen first, it will be difficult to move forward, and Isabel said that her teacher was right. And thinking that even in her opinion, the change in the situation was very sudden. And she suddenly thinks that Lord Beaton might be annoyed with her if she was rude to her new teacher. And she suddenly said to her new teacher that it was beautiful and she loved her. And Isabel had decided, if that life was a gift she received, she would use it to protect her family. And she finds it fun. When she thinks about protecting her family, it makes her better at controlling her emotions. She doesn't know how to deal with the villain who is equal to the strongest person in the world, but at least she will try her best. And she told her teacher Karen that she will study hard. The next day, her teacher arrived and knocked on the door and said that she would enter. And so Isabel opened the door for her teacher and closed it after. Isabel acted to her teacher to be quiet and check if anyone was around. Then she showed something to her teacher and her teacher was asking if it was a jelly and Isabel answered that it was and she kept it for her peach flavor. And pleaded to her teacher to accept it from her and she was smiling. Her teacher was just looking at her. Isabel was thinking in her mind that they say if you want to win someone's favor give them a gift first, and her teacher just said that it was time for lesson, and so she will have it after they finish and Isabel said okay. In the past few days, she made her decision. From the beginning, it was impossible to win the heart of the villainous Karen, and she was thinking if that was the case, she would at least let her guard down. Her teacher said to take their seats and she was thinking that fortunately, she was an incredibly cute little child, even when she looked at her. She suddenly raised her hand and told her teacher that she had a question, and asked how old it was. Her teacher was asking if her age, and Isabel answered yes, and she was asked why her name was Karen, when did she start learning magic, what kind of food does she like, and does she like peaches, and she loves sharing. And her teacher answered that she was 22 years old this year, and she heard when she was a child that her name was taken from a flower that bloomed in the village. She started learning magic after meeting her current teacher and maybe since the age of 7. And she doesn't really care about food, but she doesn't like greasy foods. And Isabel was saying in her mind that she can tell just by looking at her, and her aura. And asked who would imagine that this was villainous. A few days ago, she and her teacher were in the garden and she was being asked if she learned about Narvidal and she answered yes. Later, Karen uses Narvidal's curse to expose the heroine to the danger of death. Although not explained in detail, it was said that a lot of research was done on Narvidal, and there was also information about people being used as experiments. Perhaps the reason she contracted her was to research Narvidal. Her teacher was asking which one was it and she answered the one that kills her when she becomes an adult. And her teacher asked her if she understood what death was, and Isabel answered yes, so she wanted to create many precious memories with those around her so that she would have no regrets later. Her teacher asked if she felt fear or sadness when she thought about it and she answered yes, and she said in her mind but for Isabel, she considered her life to be a gift, and she thanked God she was happy and meeting teacher Karen was also a gift. So Isabel isn't sad. And she was smiling at her teacher and thinking that if they had met after 20 years, it would have been more terrifying, and she was glad they met now. She suddenly held on for a second and asked, but will people be sad when she leaves? She hates sad things, she don't want anyone to be sad because of her and asks her teacher don't she agrees with her, but her teacher was silent. Teacher Karen was silent for a while and she was thinking that maybe her teacher was annoyed with her. And she was shocked when she saw her teacher who was crying and she was asking why she cried. And her teacher turned to look and said that it was nothing and don't worry about it. Then Isabel felt strange, and according to the novel, that shouldn't happen and he was guessing that her teacher Karen was acting. In the novel, Karen was also skilled in disguise and acting and those tears were evidence of that. If she hadn't read the novel, she would be in big trouble right now. She tried to comfort her teacher, but teacher Karen said not to be calm when it comes to death. That was self-deception and harmful to herself, and she was being told that she was a good girl and wanted to let her carry those heavy and frightening burdens with her. Isabel was asking to her teacher if she really was, and her teacher nodded at her and she suddenly hugged teacher Karen. And she said that her teacher was the best. And told her teacher if she really was. Isabel was very happy, and teacher Karen answered yes and she was with her. And Isabel was laughing, she was saying in her mind to wake up, that woman was ultimately a psychopath. However, she was also possessed. She felt embarrassed and hugged her quickly. But fortunately she managed to hide her facial expressions. After the death of a terminally ill woman, Karen ends up taking revenge on Wilhelm and rising to the highest position in the Mirotel Federation, Master of Mages. But not everything went smoothly for her. There were still many of Wilhelm's followers among the mages. And because of the title of traitor who killed her teacher, Karen's dominance was weakened. At that time, Karen had one option, which was war. Internal resentment had to be expressed outwardly. Karen expanded her power with her overwhelming magic and gradually, the mages and members of the Magic Federation began to acknowledge her. But they weren't the only ones who changed, freedom she had never felt before. And ironically, the only joyful memories in her life were war and conquests. This became her entire reason for living, and that was the story of the villainous Karen. Teacher Karen and Isabel were in their lesson learning and she was being asked if she understood that part and she answered yes to her teacher. And her teacher said that so in that case, they can proceed seriously, and also said to Isabel that she was still very young, and her basic environmental conditions were different from those children in the Mirotel Federation. And she was planning to teach her slowly, starting with the basic steps. And told her not to worry, it might seem unfamiliar, but magic was not as bad as she thought. 6 months later, teacher Karen was teaching her to just try to feel the mana, and try to focus her mana on that stone on the table. And said that the basic flow of mana was a direct current, and think of a strong, fast, straight current. Isabel was thinking, it had already been 6 months since then. At first, she wondered why she was learning magic. It doesn't seem like there was ever a princess who learned magic in the empire before. And guessing that well, there was nothing bad in learning it anyway. She tried to feel her mana, and teacher Karen was amazed and asked if it was a mana barrier, and she was right, it certainly is. That barrier was very thick, and Isabel had learned the basics of magic, but to do something like that after just half a year, and what's more surprising is its color. It shines with 5 colors of lights. She only heard about the possibility of that happening theoretically, but that was the first time she had seen it in reality, and she wanted to make sure of it. And she told Isabel to try to imagine lifting the stone, and Isabel perfectly did it. And teacher Karen found it incredible. No matter how fast it was, you can't achieve a level that would take a year to reach all at once. And she told Isabel to try moving the stone this time, and Isabel answered all right. She tried it, the stone moved a little, but it suddenly stopped and she failed. She was asking her teacher if she lost focus while talking. But still Isabel finds it so fun. And so she asked her teacher if she should do it again, or how about something different this time. But her teacher didn't answer, and she was asking why aren't she saying anything, and her teacher suddenly answered no and nothing. The table almost broke. A disaster would have occurred if she hadn't used shock absorption magic immediately. Although she can't control her power yet, her level of mana was extremely natural. And if she was right, then the princess might be a child born for magic. And she told Isabel that she worked hard on that day, and Isabel was asking if she did it well, and teacher Karen answered that she did quite well. Isabel said that she received praise, and teacher Karen said that she didn't even praise her. Then Isabel was laughing and said that she should praise her next time. And teacher Karen just said that it depends on her and told Isabel to do their best. Before she knew it, she was already 4 years old. And the magic lessons with Karen continued even after that, but somehow, she became stricter and tone became more rigid, and that was awkward for her. She asked her teacher if wizards can fly in the sky when they become wizards, and teacher Isabel answered that they can do it. However, that method isn't preferred much because she will die if she falls. All of a sudden Isabel expresses something and says that she was scared. Karen told her that starting tomorrow, they will begin formal magic lessons, and Isabel answered yes, and she will work hard. And so Karen left, and Isabel took a deep breath and said that it was so closed and she almost got caught. Whenever Karen mentions death, she was scared. Even in the novel, she used such words to warn the prey, and she was glad Karen didn't look at her. In this room Karen was in silence and blinded all the window, and she suddenly laid in her bed and took a deep breath. She hugged the pillow and she was inconsolable and said that Isabel was really cute, and she was asking how the princess was so cute. She was punching the pillow and she was asking to herself, can she put Isabel in her pocket? What if Isabel goes in and becomes even cuter, and how can Isabel be so cute and lovely? She abruptly regained her composure and told herself to calm down, and Lord Taan was already crazy, so she needed to keep her mind straight. That person was someone who can overlook, even if the princess commits a serious crime. And she had to become a stricter person. Excessive talent at a young age can devour people. Her childhood was full of hardships. Her parents abandoned her in an orphanage at a young age, and she struggled to adapt there because she was timid. For someone like her, that appearance was poison. After she rejected Michael's confession, he started bullying her with a group. No one could oppose that boy, who was bigger and stronger than his peers. Even the teachers at the orphanage were never on her side. Teachers didn't like noise in the orphanage. Because of that, she had to silently endure all the ostracism and bullying, and at some point she became indifferent to those things. But one day, a magician who happened to recognize her magical talent came looking for her. That day, for the first time in her life, she felt hope. And only then, she came to realize that she wasn't okay. The person who adopted her was Wilhelm, the chief magician of the Mirotel Magic Federation. At that time, she was captivated by some vague hope. Perhaps now she can be happy. But even there, the nightmares didn't end. Wilhelm, who was known as an angel to the world, was a madman with 2 faces. He was just a nasty beast in human form. Everything was fine, it didn't matter. She gave up on everything. If he taught her magic, she learnt magic, and if he ordered her to do something, she did it. She had to think of herself as just a living doll, but since living things can never be dolls, revenge started growing in her heart at some point. She had to get stronger. There was no burning rage. She just calmly decided to live for revenge. After that day, she devoted herself even more to practicing magic. So when she turned 20, she achieved the honor of being the youngest grade 1 magician. 2 years later, she heard rumors that the princess of the empire was looking for a magic teacher. At that time, her interest was in Narvidal, the god of death. Narvidal. If one can wield the power of gods, surely they can seek revenge on Wilhelm. And a child with Narvidal's mark could be helpful in her research, that's what she thought. Until she met the princess, for the first time, someone asked about her. The way she freely shares her treasures, she also felt that it was lovely. Even though she knew she would die at 21, she said she was living as a gift, and among those gifts she was there too. And she was asking herself if she had ever been that kind of person to someone. After meeting the princess, all of that was new to her. So she wanted to tell her, she shouldn't be so calm. And it was natural for people to want to live. At that moment, she saw herself in the princess. Because that calmness was something that existed within her as well. So she wants to tell her too, the princess's heavy burden, she wants to carry it together. And she requested an audience with His Majesty, the Emperor. She was talking to the Emperor and she said that starting tomorrow, Isabel will be doing serious magic training. And the Emperor asked if really, and Karen said that Isabel will become quite a skilled wizard. Since she has Belarusian blood, it won't be anything new. And Karen's thoughts were short. On the outside, the Emperor was known to be indifferent to the only princess. It might be a natural rumor since one can't properly learn Belarusian Empire's swordsmanship. But somehow, something feels different, and she was thinking that it could be the Emperor was feeling proud of Isabel. She told the Emperor that there might be some expenses involved in magic training, and the Emperor said that for such trivial matters, consult with Taan and do it at her discretion. And Karen was thinking Lord Taan, asking with that aid. And she was asking to the Emperor, can she understand that as meaning, that it doesn't matter how much she spend on things like that. And the Emperor said that he don't remember saying that. Even if it's never been said, the Emperor surely knows that the aid was devoted to the princess. And she was asking herself what was up with that, and it was kinda strange. And she was thinking that it means that the Emperor was like her. It was definitely true, this was a subtle thing that only people of the same class can perceive. But that's why she understands it even better. The Emperor was similar to her, but it was something he hadn't realized yet, and she was guessing that the Emperor was still in the beginning of becoming a fan. She asked the Emperor, aren't he going to ask, and the Emperor asked about what? And Karen answered about specifying how much magical talent the princess has. In magic, talent was more important than anything else. Those without talent can't rise above a certain level no matter how hard they try. The Emperor asked if it was that really important, and Karen answered that usually, it was considered important, it was often the first thing people were curious about. The Emperor asked her if it really was, and she seemed like she had forgotten where she was. And so Karen apologized to the Emperor and she momentarily forgot that. This was the empire of swordsmanship, where a little achievement in swordsmanship was considered more important and outstanding than magic. Karen stood up on the sofa and said thank you for taking the time to see her today, then she will take her leave now. She was going to leave when the Emperor told her to wait for a moment, and so Karen held for a while and the Emperor asked if Isabel was happy. Karen got stunned and she answered yes, and while imagining flying in the sky, she smiled brightly. And the Emperor just answered okay, and Karen was a little bit speechless with it, and it was the first time a parent asked her that. Does she have a talent? Can she survive? Will she become an outstanding wizard? And everyone asks those questions. But no one asked if their child was happy, and she told the Emperor that the rumor about him hating the princess seems to be incorrect. And the Emperor asked her if that rumor was still going around, and Karen answered yes, and it was right. The Emperor was a little bit shocked, and Karen asked him if he wasn't going to correct the misunderstanding, and the Emperor also asked if it was ridiculous to make an effort to correct such a trivial misunderstanding. Karen answered that it was right and said in her mind that the Emperor has a strong personality that doesn't care about rumors at all. And she suddenly told the Emperor that the conversation had become quite long, so she shall indeed take her leave now. And told the Emperor may honor shine upon the righteous blade. The Emperor was pressing her hand on the chair, and all of a sudden there was a big noise inside his room, and those guards outside were really surprised hearing that noise inside. A few days later, the imperial capital, Seoul. To celebrate the upcoming emperor's birthday, envoys from various factions gathered. Countless people flocked to Seoul. The Empress and the Emperor were talking, and the Empress told him that no matter how much they talked to him, he shouldn't show even a bit of annoyance. Anyway, this was an important diplomatic event. And the Emperor answered that he understood, and the Empress asked him if it was a promise, and the Emperor nodded his head. The Emperor was saying in his mind that it was boring, and he can't believe that boring banquet will last for a week. And all of a sudden someone came over to them and introduced his son who came of age that year, and the boy greeted them and said that he saw the Majesty the Emperor and the Empress. The Emperor said in his mind that he would rather swing a sword one more time than attend it. Behind him a group of women talked about him and said that it seemed like there was really a glow on His Majesty's face, and asked how someone could look like that. The other one said that she wanted to keep his portrait as heirloom, and the other one replied that good things should be shared together, right? And the Emperor's hearing was exceptional compared to ordinary people. And all of a sudden there was an announcement that they would like to inform their distinguished guests, before the upcoming gift presentation ceremony, there will be a congratulatory performance by the prodigy pianist, Lunta. And hope all guests will greet her with a warm applause. Outside the palace, Isabel was playing in the garden and her nanny was calling her. Her nanny asked what she was doing there, and her clothes were all dirty, and Isabel happily answered her nanny and asked if the flower she was holding was pretty. And her nanny was so amazed and answered that it was such a beautiful flower. Isabel said that it was right and asked her nanny if she knew that she picked it from under that tree. And she told her nanny that she can make it shine even there, and Isabel made the flower shine that was so bright. And her nanny was so amazed, and the flower was shining like a jewel, and Isabel told her nanny that she will give it to her as a gift. And her nanny said thank you to her, and she will definitely keep it safe for her. After her possession, from the day she could walk on her own, she ran around everywhere every day. And she finds it so fun to run around so much, surprisingly for a child's body, and no matter how out of breath she got, her heart palpitations no longer hurt her. And that fact that it didn't hurt made her happy. And all of a sudden someone said that he never expected to find such a treasure there. And when Isabel turned her head back, she saw that her nanny wasn't there, and she was asking where her nanny was. And all of a sudden someone said hello to her, a person with a mask and was wearing a cape looking at her. Isabel strongly asked who the person was, and the person answered that he was thinking about whether to adopt her or not. And Isabel said that she had a father, and the person was asking who it was. And Isabel answered that it was the Majesty, the Emperor. And the person was really shocked and laughed at her and said what an impudent child she was, and also said that if she was really a princess, that would actually be even sadder, and she must be so unwelcome that there was no one there to protect her. And the person told her to follow. And Isabel asked the person if it was a kidnapper and if he was going to take her away. The person laughed and said that he will make her a great magician, so not to be afraid. Isabel just sighed at the person and said that she thought that he was a smart person, and the person asked if she knew him. And Isabel was telling in her mind that if the person thinks about it a little, he will definitely come up with an answer. The ability to stroll around the palace as one pleases indicates they were envoys who were invited. An outstanding magician who can make Luluka disappear with just a gesture. A skilled magician who targets children with exceptional magical talent, a bold man who doesn't mind if the child was a princess or not, and not many people meet all these criteria. Isabel pointed to the person and said that he was Wilhelm, and yes, it must be Karen's stepfather and a prominent magician of the Mirotel Magic Federation. And she guessed that the person was definitely Wilhelm. And the person said that he had heard the great name of Wilhelm too, and said thank you for mistaking him for him. Isabel said that it doesn't really matter, but she knew he was not that smart. And the person was asking what she was talking about, and all of a sudden Lord Beaton appeared at the back of the person and said that there was the thing and stabbed that person. And he was asking why aren't there any security forces, and was that head of him just for decoration. And all of a sudden a hand came out with the costume and Lord Beaton held it, and it was Luluka the maid who got out of that costume. Isabel asked her nanny if it was okay, and Lord Beaton said that no wonder there was no resistance, that it wasn't his real body, but a magical projection. And so he pointed his sword to that person and said not to be sure that there won't be any evidence left. And he was really good at finding evidence, and he didn't leave any evidence either. And he will definitely find him and befriend him, and they will interact deeply and cut the head of that posture, and the head fell on the ground. Luluka asked Isabel if she was hurt anywhere and where she startled, and Isabel answered that she was fine and she asked how about her. And Lord Biotin stepped forward and told Isabel that she was calm again and asked if she weren't scared that the person lately was a bad man. And he was telling in his mind that for a 5-year-old calmness and it was making him sad. Isabel asked why he should be scared, and told Lord Biotin that her teacher was there. And Lord Biotin asked didn't he arrive late, and Isabel answered that it was because he was trying to understand the bad man's goal, and he believed her. Lord Biotin. Lord Biotin was going to cry and hugged Isabel and asked how she thought so deeply. And Isabel was asking in her mind where Lord Biotin moved like that in the original story too. And she asked Lord Biotin what was the point of speaking beautifully while swinging his sword so fiercely. And Lord Biotin answered that can't be true, he was a very gentle and kind teacher and what she was saying was a lie. And he was just sad that she thought like that, and Isabel told him that it was a tear of sorrow. But he was cool and he was the best and hugged Lord Biotin happily. Then she suddenly asked if that bad man was Wilhelm, and Lord Biotin was thinking that the guy dared to attempt to kidnap the princess from the imperial palace of Bilotion. And Lord Biotin told Isabel that he will find who the man was, because she really likes making friends, then he will go on patrol for a bit and he had called the knights, so the place should be safe. And Isabel answered yes and she got it. And she laughed and asked in her mind that they shall go and play again. One good thing about being in a baby's body was, when you play, you quickly forget things like what happened earlier. And she sat down and said that it doesn't matter, and she was holding something and her nanny asked what it was. Isabel answered that it was a flower ring and it was for her dad, and her nanny said that her dad was at the banquet right now. And she told her nanny not to worry because it was the day when she gave her dad a gift. They get inside the palace and Luluka the maid told her that they will soon arrive at the main hall of the grand banquet. Isabel was so happy, and all of a sudden the 2 knights of the front door said that they shouldn't come there. And she was thinking in her mind that it looked like the knights didn't recognize who she was. And in that case, she told the knights how cruel they were and wanted them to get out of her way and said that she was Isabel. And she was looking at those bewildered faces, and asked did they get flustered by her charismatic entrance. One of the knights asked if it was a prank and Isabel closed her eyes and thought about what the knight was asking about. The knight said that she shouldn't just impersonate the princess like that and she will get a scary punishment if she does, and then they laughed at her. Isabel was asking herself why don't they believe that she was the princess, and thinking that it was not like she was well known, and she looked like that. And so she told her nanny to put her down, and she stood in front of the knights and pleaded to state their name and affiliation. The knights were a little bit speechless and asked if she was serious about it. The knight with green hair said that she was young, so it was understandable, but she can't do that there, and told the nanny to quickly take the young lady back. Isabel asked is it a Bilotian custom to ignore the princess when she speaks, and the guards were shocked and turned to look to Isabel at their back, and Isabel said that she was asking for their affiliation and name. And said that a knight responsible for the palace banquet hall doesn't even recognize the face of royalty. And told the knights if they didn't know her face, the proper procedure was to report to their superior and verify first, and she won't forgive this. The knights were a little bit frightened and shocked, and with this Isabel showed enough of herself as the princess. There were many eyes watching there. Every move she makes will affect her reputation, so she must speak clearly and decisively. Inside the banquet a man announces to commemorate the day, showing a gift created by a Muriel, the founding mage of their Mirotel Federation, who personally infused it with mana. The Empress told the Emperor that he must thank Wilhelm in return. Wilhelm is the rising star of the Mirotel Magic Federation, the Mirotel Magic Federation to which Wilhelm belongs, and the Sword Empire Bilotion were the absolute powers that practically divide the continent. And the Empress said that if the Emperor acts this way, it will be a serious diplomatic disgrace, but the Emperor was listening to the voice outside the door and asking in himself what was that commotion. And telling in his mind that it was right that she asked for the affiliation and name properly first. And it was also right to logically criticize a mistake, and the Empress why was the Emperor distracted. And so she said that they deeply appreciate the precious gift sent by the Mirotel Magic Federation, and she said thank you for it. And in the future, she will personally visit the Mirotel Magic Federation, and express her gratitude to Sir Muriel. And the Emperor suddenly stood up and said to let the princess in. The knight was really shocked and said that the child was truly the princess, and so the knight apologized for not recognizing her and pleaded to go ahead and she will escort her. Isabel was staring at the knight and suddenly held its hand and smiled and said not to worry, and she forgave him because today was a happy day. And she will speak to her father about this, and the knight apologizes again and said that he will visit again to properly ask for her forgiveness, and Isabel answered that it was fine too. Then she smiled at the knight and said then buy her jelly or maybe ice cream, and the knight was asking what odd this was. Feeling both irresistible elegance and unbearable cuteness. And so Isabel was inside and said that she prepared a gift too, and everyone was chatting and shocked and asking if she was the princess, and her face was covered in dirt, wasn't it? And how unfortunate, the empress was so graceful and elegant, they say she was no different from a child abandoned by the palace, and guesses that it was true. And the emperor was vexed listening to them, and Isabel showed her gift that was in her palm and pleaded to her dad to accept it. Her dad asked what it was, and Isabel answered that it was a ring and it was sparkly too and she would like to give it to him, and ask if it was okay if she came up. Her dad told her to stay right there and he will come to her. The emperor kneeled in front of Isabel and asked if she made it, and Isabel answered yes. The emperor touches Isabel and says that she made a mess making it, and Isabel feels her dad's hand was warm. And telling in her mind that it was a bit embarrassing, but she doesn't have much time left and she wants to be honest with those emotions and feelings right now. And so she wore the ring on her father's finger and happily said that she was glad her dad was there, and her father replied that her gift was well received. At this room the empress and the emperor were lying on their bed, and asked the emperor if he knew that his majesty's action at the banquet became a huge issue. And said that he, the emperor who kept a stern expression throughout the banquet, smiled when his daughter appeared. And the emperor said it never happened, and the empress said that he definitely smiled when she saw it. And the emperor insisted that he didn't smile, and the empress asked if really was and did he want to bet. Moreover, he designated a flower ring, which disrupts the mana flow of swordsmen, as the best gift. And asked didn't they say swordsmen don't wear cumbersome things on their hands. And the empress giggled and said that by the way, since they couldn't attend diplomatic matters due to his birthday even, and they will be busy with various things from now on. And they might not see their princess for 3 or 4 months, or even longer. And she touched the face of the emperor, and the emperor asked if that was so. He held the hand of the empress and kissed it. A few days later, Isabel was eating and her father came to see her. And so she ran towards her father and said for a long time no see, and her father asked didn't they just see each other yesterday. Isabel answered that he hardly came to her room, and her dad said that for a while, neither he nor the empress will be able to visit, and Isabel asked why. Her father touched her head and said that because adults had work to do. Isabel asked when he would come, and her father answered that he would return before her birthday. Isabel was counting and asked her father will he come in 8 months, and her father answered it seems so. And she told her father that she hoped he would come soon, and the emperor asked why, and Isabel answered because she will miss him. She said to her father that he will wait for him, and her father asked if she really wanted to see him that much, and Isabel answered yes, very much, and she will be waiting eagerly. The emperor reached her hand to Isabel, but he pulled himself back, and Isabel was asking in her mind where her father was just about to hug her. And her father reached his hand to her and said that then he will make sure to come quickly, and Isabel asked if it was a promise. And her father answered yes, especially for her, and kissed her forehead. Lord Biotin was walking then he saw the majesty, and he asked what did the princess say, and the emperor answered that Isabel wanted him to come quickly, she misses him, she will wait there and she will be waiting eagerly. Lord Biotin was really shocked and said that he was so jealous and asked how he could handle that defeat. And the emperor said that he had never considered him a rival, and Lord Biotin said that it hurts his pride even more. The emperor told him that he wasn't that bothered when he lost in swordsmanship, and Lord Biotin said that it was not the same thing. The emperor told him don't be too upset, blood was thicker than water, and Lord Biotin gets annoyed and asked that was being calmly arrogant also a talent, but the emperor was ignoring him. He took a deep breath and said that he was feeling down and needed to release his frustration, and he was thinking that he needed someone to take it out on. The person who tried to kidnap the princess in the palace courtyard seems to be Wilhelm. Once he finds evidence he will deal with him. 8 months later, her nanny greeted Isabel a happy birthday and brought some cake for her. 8 months have already passed since her father's birthday, and she was celebrating her 5th birthday. 5 years out of 21 had passed. In the body of Bilotian, she had grown quickly. She can almost say what she thinks exactly as it was, and she was much more accustomed to using her body. Except for the fact that her days were gradually decreasing, everything was good. She asked her nanny if there was no news of father and mother returning to the palace today, right? And her nanny answered yes, and Isabel said it can't be helped, they were busy. Her nanny said that she will celebrate for both of them. Today, they will enjoy the last remaining birthday together. Isabel said thank you, but she was really a blessed child. It was already 11:55 p.m. Now there are only 5 minutes left until her birthday ends. Her nanny asked shall they light the candles now, and she answered yes, and they will do it. Isabel laid her head on the table looking at the cake that looked delicious, and so she was the one who lit the candles, and all of the candles on her cake lit up. Her nanny asked what wish she made, and Isabel closed her eyes and wished to please let her spend the next birthday with her mom and dad. But she hasn't blown her candles yet, and her nanny told her that she should blow out the candles now before her birthday ends, and Isabel said that there were still 30 seconds left. And all of a sudden they heard someone say that she was a fool who can't even learn swordsmanship, and she wished so grandly. And that voice was her dad, had a blood on his clothes looking at her. And her dad asked if she was so bold as to wish to spend time with him, and Isabel was shocked and thought that her father was bleeding. And all of a sudden the Empress got in and told the Emperor that she was saying things that he didn't mean again, and she told him to clean up, and he will scare her. And the Emperor said that if she was so startled by this, she might not be fit to be Bilotian. And the Empress told her that can't he say he was in such a hurry not to be late for his daughter's birthday that he couldn't wash up. And the Emperor said that he did it to keep his promise, and the Empress said that if he kept acting like that, his daughter might hate him. And the Empress came closer to Isabel and greeted her happy 5th birthday to her daughter. And she was sorry for being late, and Isabel was crying, and her mom said so her daughter knows how to cry. And she said thank you to her mom, and her mom asked for what, and Isabel answered for being with her. And the Emperor was looking at them, and Isabel said to her mom that she loved it when she hugged her. Isabel felt it so warm and cozy, it was warmth she never felt in her past life. And the Empress lifted up Isabel and said to the Emperor that Isabel seems to have fallen asleep. She was in her room and she was already awake, and she saw her father that was beside on her bed sitting and reading a book. She called her dad, and her dad asked what she thought she was doing by calling her informally. And so Isabel said sorry to her dad, and her dad said that formality was something that can be present or absent at any time. And she asked her dad if she could call her dad in private, and her dad answered if she desires it so much, he will allow it. Isabel said that she was 5 years old now, a princess for whom dignity and grace were important. The Emperor said that 5 years old was still a child, and she cried so much yesterday. And her dad touched her head, and Isabel was looking at her dad, and she suddenly asked did she know, and her father asked what. She told her dad that she was happy because she was there, and asked did he stay there all night. And she was so tired that she fell asleep there without realizing it, and asked her dad if he was tired. She was asking herself if her father, the empire's strongest swordsman. In the book, it was said that the mana within the body was like the universe. It even mentioned he fought a war without sleeping for 2 weeks. For someone like that to be tired again, and so she said to her dad that she hoped he was tired every day and then. And she asked her dad if they would spend the day together like today, and her dad answered that she had a wicked mind, and wishing for her father's chronic fatigue might be a bit too much, isn't it? Isabel said that just on her birthday then, and asked can he be tired just one day a year at least, and there are 16 times left. Isabel was telling in her mind that for some reason, her father seemed to be in a bad mood, and asked herself did she whine too much. And so she asked her dad if he was angry, and was 16 times too many. And her dad answered that he needed to instruct Karen to teach her math again, and he hadn't seen a number as small as 16, and Isabel answered yes to her dad. Isabel asked her dad haven't he learned that even 17 and 18 were small numbers, and what he had been learning. And her dad answered that just thinking about it makes him tired, looking at her makes him tired, holding her hand makes him tired, and hugging her makes him tired. And the Emperor was saying in his mind that thinking about how to make the biggest number left for her, not 16, was exhausting. Isabel was holding her dad's clothes and said that she was tired, wondering why that seemingly worthless time was so precious, and she was tired of learning something new. Isabel was crying and said that from now on, she will be tired thousands of times more, not just 7 times. And she suddenly called her dad, and her dad told her to speak. And she said that she miscalculated, and it was 6 times. In her past life, she was admitted to Korea University through the essay examination for mathematics. And her dad touched her chick and told her that she was smart and the remaining time was in his inner thoughts. And she suddenly asked where her mom was and her dad answered that she left early for a financial meeting with Duke Rothschild. And she asked her dad if it was going somewhere and the emperor answered that he was and Isabel asked where he was going. Her dad reached out his hand to her and said that he was going to Arena Palace, because today was the day she will move, so he will escort her. Isabel asked really that he was escorting her and her dad told her don't make him say it twice, it was something he disliked. Isabel said that she was so happy. Arena Palace was where the children of the imperial family lived. Young royals stay in the detached palace until they turn 5, then move to Arena Palace. Entering the Arena Palace was usually seen as the start of political life, but she was just looking forward to seeing her brother. She still can't forget their graceful appearance during the selection ceremony. But currently, only the 3rd prince, Michael, resides in the palace. And other princes were away due to their respective duties and successor training. And she guesses that she can start getting close to her 3rd brother, and she was not planning to engage in any court intrigue. And her dad asked what she was thinking so much and they will go quickly and she answered yes to her dad. Thus, for the first time in the 500-year history of Bilotion, she headed to the Arena Palace, escorted by the emperor. They arrived at the Arena Palace and a woman greeted them and the emperor called the woman named Delsa and said that it had been a while. And she was the chief steward of the palace, Delsa. She asked did the majesty personally escort her, and Isabel said hello and said that her name was Isabel, she was 5 years old and a princess. And he bowed down to Delsa and Delsa said that she doesn't need to bow to her like that and Isabel asked why not and Delsa answered because she was the chief steward, and she was a princess. Isabel said that it was strange she did call her chief steward and she saved her father on the Hill of the Sick 10 years ago, didn't she? And Sir Delsa asked her if she knew about that. Back then, Sir Delsa threw herself to save her father who was in a crisis, slaying 37 enemies and receiving the Silver Star Medal. And she told Sir Delsa that she heard she refused the medal ceremony to honor her father, and she simply treated her with the respect she deserved. Sir Delsa was an exceptional swordswoman who commanded one of the strongest sword brigades, the Black Whale. After saving her father, she sustained serious injuries and took on the role of chief steward. And Sir Delsa told Isabel that it was a long time ago, even before she was not born, and Isabel said that she believes that honor does not fade with time. And as a princess, she wanted to honor her dedication, but it was the Arena Palace, and she was currently the chief steward, so from now on, she will address her as the chief steward. And said additionally that she looks forward to working with her. Sir Delsa was a little bit shocked and thinking in her mind that she thought the bad rumors surrounding the princess were just rumors. And the princess is usually precocious for a 5-year-old and possesses an extremely regal demeanor. And the emperor said that he must attend a national meeting, so he will be going and pleaded to Sir Delsa to take care of her daughter, and Sir Delsa answered not to worry. Isabel happily said goodbye to her father and Sir Delsa was telling in her mind that this was unlike His Majesty to personally escort her and refer to her as daughter rather than princess. And thinking that this could become His Majesty's weakness if he was not careful, and they must be cautious. And all of a sudden there was someone who stepped up and jumped down from the terrace. And said that the competitor finally showed up, and he was the 3rd prince. Isabel was shocked and Sir Delsa too, and Sir Delsa said how many times he told him not to jump down from the upper floor. And Michael the 3rd prince asked why not, and Sir Delsa answered because it goes against the dignity of a prince. And Michael said that Sir Lancer said, as long as he was good with a sword, nothing else matters. Lancer was the husband of Chief Steward Delsa and one of the prince's sword instructors. And Sir Delsa said that Lancer was scheduled to be executed today and Michael was happy and said that he wanted to watch it and Sir Delsa told him that he can't. And Isabel come to think of it, Michael looks no different from her, Bilotion's body grows quickly, so at 9 years old, he should look like he was in his early teens. And she was asking herself, is Michael mine too childlike for his body to keep up? And she suddenly told Michael that it looked cute as always and Michael was shocked and asked does she know him? Isabel answered her brother that they met at the selection ceremony, and Michael asked does she remember that. Isabel answered yes, and she even remembered what he said, and he said while looking at her that, "Brother, aren't he cuter?" But she was cuter, and he definitely said that. Michael told her to be honest, she was lying, isn't she, and wanted Isabel to show some proof. Isabel answered that she didn't have proof, but he definitely said that. Sir Delsa said in her mind that if Isabel keeps saying that, the third prince will surely become more stubborn. Michael asked Isabel why she was so brazen without proof, and Isabel answered because she was not lying. And abruptly Isabel asked her brother if honestly, he don't remember what he said because he had no thoughts at that moment, and asked if she was right. And Michael asked how did she know, and Sir Delsa answered that he had the look of someone who doesn't know. And Isabel suddenly said that her brother was very strong, right? And Michael answered of course he was, and Isabel said that she learned that strong people acknowledge that they don't remember their past. And she told her Michael that it was a strong and cool brother. And Michael asked Isabel if really he was a cool brother, and Isabel answered yes he was, and he was cute rather than cool. Michael smiled and said that then he will introduce her to his friend next time. And Sir Delsa, thinking in her mind how interesting it was, the third prince, who always argued during conversations, was being so compliant. And she was asking herself what kind of princess Isabel was. A few days have passed since she moved into the Arena Palace, but other than changing her residence, her daily life hasn't changed much. And in her routine a special teacher was added. He was Sir Lancer, the Bylocian swordsmanship instructor, and said to her that anyway, she cannot learn Bylocian swordsmanship. And as a Bylocian princess, she cannot learn any other swordsmanship, and Isabel asked what she should do, and Sir Lancer happily answered that they shall play house. And he didn't notice that Sir Delsa was on his back and asked what playhouse he was talking about. And he was really shocked, and Sir Delsa asked what he was doing, and aren't they supposed to be having a swordsmanship lesson right now? Sir Lancer was going to say something, and he just called Delsa as his wife, and Sir Delsa got vexed and pleaded to address her properly, and they were working. Sir Lancer answered yes to Sir Delsa, and Isabel found it so scary. And Sir Delsa asked Sir Lancer if he knew what time it was, and isn't the time for Prince Michael's swordsmanship lesson. Sir Lancer was really shocked and looked at him losing track of time, and so he answered to Sir Delsa that he was just about to head there, and Sir Delsa asked he was, and he answered yes he is, and Sir Delsa asked if really, and Sir Lancer answered yes. Isabel was just standing and telling in her mind that it was really intense, and all of the sudden Prince Michael called Sir Lancer and said that he haven't forgotten any of his swordsmanship lessons with Sir Lancer, and there were reasons for everything. He was running and said that he didn't do it because he wanted to be late. And Sir Delsa thinking and said that they were both saying they forgot the lesson. And Prince Michael said that the guy at his back kept bothering him, so he couldn't help but be late for the lesson, and he swore that he didn't forget. And he told Isabel that it was great, he said he would introduce his friend, didn't he, and this guy fearlessly took on a lion. Isabel was staggered and said that she saw it in a documentary, and she didn't know then that the animal would completely change her life. No manners but a cute friend, and she was asking if it was that honey badger, and she felt some strangely intricate manna. Prince Michael said that it was fighting 5 lions, one of 5, and Isabel was really shocked, and Sir Lancer asked where he was talking about that tiny thing on his back. And Prince Michael answered yes, the lions were ganging up on it unfairly, so he helped out a bit. Isabel laughed and said that this world really makes her realize it was a fantasy world all over again. And Prince Michael said that he could have been on time, but he was a bit late because he saved a poor animal friend in danger. Considering he was late due to chivalry, he pleaded to Sir Lancer to understand his situation. Sir Lancer was amazed, he demonstrated the chivalry he always emphasized, that deserves praise, not reprimand. And now Isabel saw it and was asking if Lancer and Michael were watching the head steward Delsa. Thinking that the real power in this palace definitely Sir Delsa the steward. And if that was the case she needed to make a cute impression on head steward Delsa. And abruptly she told Sir Delsa that she was hungry and asked if they could eat together. In this room teacher Karen and Isabel were doing their lesson, and she was staring at teacher and said that something suspicious, Karen strangely attentive to her, and she must have some ulterior motive. Thinking that Karen might be collecting the manna in her breath for Narvital research, but still Karen's magic skills were real. And she suddenly raised her hand and said that she had a question, and Karen answered go ahead. She asked Teacher Karen if she knew honey badgers and Teacher Karen answered yes she did. Isabel asked if honey badgers have a distortion of intricate mana and Teacher Karen answered that it was rare but possible. Usually, it happens when they eat a mana-infused magic stone. Fearless animals like honey badgers tend to eat anything. Isabel asked Teacher Karen if she could use that distortion for something. Karen was looking at her and said in her mind that it was magical intuition. Very rarely, there was a certain magical flow. Rarely, some people can instinctively grasp certain magical flows. The world calls them geniuses. Karen asked her if she felt she could do something specific, and Isabel was asking why Karen looked at her like that. And she answered Teacher Isabel that she was not sure, but she felt like she could be friends with the honey badger. And Teacher Karen asked that then shall they study about it together. Karen began increasing the class time and frequency to study with her. A few days passed. Teacher Karen was explaining to her that using the Droywell theorem, she thought the equation can be somewhat completed. However, there are numbers that can't be defined by the magical formulas the princess learned, so it can't be perfectly completed. And she looked at Isabel, who was always pursing her lips cutely when she concentrated, and it was really adorable. Isabel was analyzing and said that it was unclear how to define the root of the square number, right? And Teacher Karen asked if she could clearly express it, and Isabel said that the magical number was negative, but the problem is it should take the form of a square number, right? And Teacher Karen said that it was correct. Karen, the ultimate mastermind, was a genius magician, so her standards were high. Even if she unleashed the knowledge of an average Korean student, it wouldn't seem special. She passed the Korean University entrance exam with a math essay. She told Teacher Karen that a negative result from squaring doesn't exist in the realm of real numbers, and then Teacher Karen asked what concept they should use to solve it. Isabel answered that by applying the concept of imaginary numbers and drawing the complex plane like that, the z-value can be seen as a point on the coordinate plane corresponding to the sum of real number a and imaginary b, and Teacher Karen replied that it was correct. And Teacher Karen asked her how can they find the value of the root that should be substituted into the final magic equation, and Isabel answered by calculating the angle theta on this plane. In the end, the z-value can be found through trigonometric functions like this, and then it can be expressed as the sum of sincos and sin functions. And Teacher Karen was asking if the equation was too complex to solve by hand, wasn't it? And Isabel answered that using linear algebra concepts and matrix calculations, she thinks this equation can be solved, and it was a 4x4 matrix. That was a concept that doesn't exist in the current magical formula world. Teacher Karen asked who taught her that, and Isabel was shocked and asked if there was something wrong. Teacher Karen said that there was nothing wrong, that's why she must know who taught her. Isabel was thinking and asking herself why she thought the one who taught her was an ally or not. And she was smiling and said that she just knew it from long ago and asked if she did something wrong. And Teacher Karen answered that she figured it out on her own. And saying in her mind that it was unbelievable, the princess was a genius among geniuses. And she suddenly told Isabel that this needs to be presented at the academic conference and wanted Isabel to come with her. Isabel was shocked and asked out of the place together. Teacher Isabel answered yes, if it was officially published in an academic journal, it would be her great achievement and intellectual property, and she will help her and they will go together. Isabel was asking in her mind, was Karen planning to kidnap her under the pretext of the conference? And she told her Teacher Karen that achievements and intellectual property, and she don't need them. They were rich and they had a lot of money. Teacher Karen was grabbing her and told her that she still had to go, and Isabel insisted that she didn't need it. Teacher Karen got vexed and told her why she was so devoid of ambition and asked what if she stole her theory and published it under her name. And Teacher Karen was telling herself that she knew the truth, the reason why the princess had no ambition for fame and achievements. Because the time spent with her nanny today was much more precious than a few weeks of honorable time at the conference, and the princess doesn't have much time left. She asked her Teacher Karen if she was angry with her and asked in her mind why Karen's expression looked so upset. And so she said sorry to her Teacher Karen for making her upset with her. Teacher Karen said that she was not angry, and she said sorry to Isabel. And told Isabel that then she will go to the conference as her proxy, and it will be published under her name at first, but it will be transferred to her achievement, and she must allow that much. Isabel answered okay and they will do it and said thank you to her teacher, and Isabel reached her hand to teacher Karen and teacher Karen saw the Narvidal mark on it. Since history was recorded, not a single person had survived the curse of the stigma of Narvidal. It was a punishment from the gods, and humanity accepted the mark as a death sentence. But she will save the princess somehow even if it costs her life. Prince Michael was playing with his pet and said that even if he hid, he was in his hand. His pet suddenly bit him and he was shocked and asked his pet why he was attacking while he was off guard. And why does he bite and then glare at him and he will bite him back? Isabel told him that if he can bite, try biting. His skin was so tough and firm that his brother's teeth would just feel ticklish. And asked why do he always hide by himself. It was unfair and she asked her brother that it was a selfish creature. Her brother was really shocked and asked why she knew that and Isabel answered that she combined honey badger's mana with a magic formula she created to complete a small spell and it was an interpretation of magic. And her brother asked and she said that she was learning magic and Isabel answered she was. And she told the pet to come to her for a moment, and the honey badger looked at her and suddenly came at her. And Prince Michael gets annoyed and said that his pet always bit him, the honey badger feeling the moment with Isabel and was smiling. And she was making magic to make a conversation with the honey badger. And all of a sudden the honey badger answered that he didn't like it, and he really didn't like it and Prince Michael asked why he didn't like him. The honey badger answered good things all him, bad things all him. And Prince Michael said that he thought of him as a friend and the honey badger said that not a friend and Prince Michael asked if not a friend then what? The honey badger answered a feeder and Prince Michael said that it was too harsh and he will give him another chance. What does he think of him? And the honey badger answered that he was a jerk and Isabel was a guardian. And Isabel was asking herself was the interpretation magic that effective or is it something anyone can do? And the honey badger said guardian master and master last name. And Isabel if it was her last name he was asking and the honey badger answered yes, her family name. And she answered that her current surname was Bylotion, so Honey Bylotion. That sounds a bit weird and it was hard to pronounce, too. Then she thought of something simple and easy to call, and she came up with the name Kim Honeybee, and the honey badger smiled and said to call him Kim Honeybee. When teacher Karen knew that Isabel had a conversation with the honey badger she was really shocked. And she was asking if she could express the honey badger's thoughts in writing, and completed a magic theory and applied it practically in her absence. Isabel answered yes and she worked hard, and teacher Karen was thinking that it was not just about having magic theory and power. First, the magic caster themselves must have an innate affinity to communicate with animals or magical creatures. There must be a compatible animal with the affinity's frequency and resonance. And asking herself was the honey badger such an intelligent animal? And she told herself that there was no way, so in the end it was the princess's special power that amplified the honey badger's feelings and humanized them for interpretation. And Isabel must have naturally integrated mana amplification theory as well. The princess was undoubtedly more of a genius than she thought. And so she told Isabel that she worked quite hard in her absence, and Isabel answered yes and she worked hard and asked her teacher Karen if she did well. And teacher Karen answered yes and she did well, and Isabel asked really and if she was praising her. And teacher Karen bowed her head and said that she looks forward to more in the future. Isabel and Kim Honeybee was embracing each other, and Isabel felt it soft and warm like a heater and felt really good to hold. And all of a sudden Prince Michael gets Kim Honeybee to Isabel's hand and said that it was time to go home now. And told Isabel to see her next time and Isabel answered that she got it. Isabel was telling in her mind that it was warm and ice, too bad. Her nanny said that it was strange, so fierce to the prince, yet so gentle to the princess. And come to think of it, Honey wasn't friendly to Luluka either. Isabel said that it was just shy, but it was a good friend. Then she thought up something that Kim Honeybee seemed to be very sensitive to heat, and she was thinking that she should learn cold-natured magic. And she was asking to her nanny if Honey would like it too, and her nanny answered of course to the princess. In this room Prince Michael was having a commotion with Kim Honeybee, and he asked about scratching him without knowing gratitude, and he will scratch him too and to wait right there, but Kim Honeybee jumped up high and all of the sudden vanished in the air. Prince Michael was really shocked and asked where did Kim Honeybee go? And he was guessing that it seems like Kim Honeybee can teleport, and he must not mess it next time. Kim Honeybee appeared somewhere with a cave and he gets inside that cave and someone said that Arun it was time to return to his true form. And Kim Honeybee was transforming himself little by little and transformed as a boy. He was being asked if he had come to his senses and a woman was coming near to him and it was his mom and he told his mom that he already came back. The woman was Black Dragon Camellia, and said that he must have had a good learning experience today. Arun was asking what happened and he didn't remember anything, and his mother answered that it was normal. And his mom asked what was his name and he answered that she just told him Arun. His mom said that he was just a 100-year-old baby dragon, and he had kept awakening his self-awareness, so he wouldn't forget who he was. And his mom asked if she could take a look at what happened to him during that time and he answered yes. And his mom held his head and looked at what happened to him lately, and his mom said that he had been having a good experience. And he was asking what experiences he's been having and his mom answered that he will realize that when he grows up. And his mom asked if they should go into his room and continue talking. They were in the room and he was asking why he had to do those annoying things, and his mom answered to become a good adult. And he asked if he doesn't do those things, will he become a bad adult, and his mom answered that could very well be the case. And his mom asked if she shall tell him an old story, and his mom said that once upon a time, there was a black dragon who called itself the Black Dragon of Ultimate Destruction, Annihilation, and Stealth. And he was asking what it was, and his mom answered that the name was quite absurd. It sounds like a name a 50-year-old rookie would give themselves to sound cool. And he suddenly asked his mom if she knew that dragon and his mom answered that it was a distant relative, a cousin story. And said additionally that anyway, there was a black dragon who called itself the Black Dragon of Ultimate Destruction, Annihilation, and Stealth. Dragons were born as predators, they naturally reign over everything without effort, and they recite magic spells naturally and they are beings that perform miracles with dragon words. The Black Dragon of Ultimate Destruction, Annihilation, and Stealth, who had everything was extremely bored. It didn't know how to relieve its boredom. So, to relieve its boredom it went around showing off its power. But one day, the Black Dragon stopped destroying things, when a cute human appeared. They promised to make it happy by giving it a ring. It was ridiculous that a human could make a dragon happy. Anyway, the Black Dragon found the human quite cute, it found them amusing. Eventually, the Black Dragon boredom decreased, and it stopped the massacres. So, it was cuteness that prevented the destruction, and cuteness was the scariest thing. And Arun feels amazed with the story. And his mom said that anyway, as a result of that event, dragons began to realize that they were not perfect. They also realized what kind of dangers could arise if an imperfect being had near-perfect power. That's why the law was established for young dragons like him to have various activities and experiences during their childhood. Living as other animals has become mandatory for young dragons, they need to understand and empathize with the thoughts of other species. But for a complete experience, a dragon's self-identity must be erased. However, those experiences settle deep within his soul. If he remembers everything now, his identity as a dragon might be shaken. That's why they seal the memories of his transformed state. And he suddenly asked his mom what Kim Honeybee was, and his mom asked him where did he hear that word. And he answered that he didn't know, it just came to his mind. And his mom was saying in her mind that it was strange, he shouldn't remember that, and asked herself was there any connection between the girl who gave him the name and Arun. Back to Isabel, she was covering her ear and said that it was scary, and Sir Lancer asked was the Black Dragon story that scary. And said that anyway, the Black Dragon of Ultimate something, Destruction something, Stealth something, it had so many nicknames. It means it did a lot of different and scary things, and Isabel was covering her eyes and said that it really was scary. Telling in her mind that it was strange, she hasn't been that scared in a long time. It feels like there was a real black dragon around. And she suddenly asked if the Black Dragon still exists and does it still do bad things. Sir Lancer answered, don't worry, a brave warrior punished the bad Black Dragon. The Black Dragon promised never to do bad things again and to help the warrior. And said additionally that the warrior in the story was the first emperor of the Bylosian Empire. The Black Dragon became a guardian dragon and secretly protects the royal family. She was really amazed and said in her mind that Sir Lancer's story was interesting, but she had never seen the word guardian dragon in the novel, and suddenly a guardian dragon was protecting the Bylosian royal family. and protecting the royal family was her dad's job. Prince Michael and Isabel was being together in the sala making something, and Prince Michael was holding the blue stone and said that it was hard tasteless. And Isabel asked her brother were his teeth okay, and Prince Michael answered that he almost smashed them. And Isabel said that usually, he says he almost broke them. Prince Michael was asking what it was and if it was his present, and Isabel answered no. Isabel said that if he put manna into the magic stone like that, cold wind will blow out. And Prince Michael was shocked and said that it was really amazing, and Isabel asked, isn't it? Because this world isn't peaceful, magic related to daily life hasn't developed much compared to magic related to war or combat, and maybe that's why. And Prince Michael said that he had come to want to research those little magics, and Isabel answered yes and do it. Isabel asked the honey badger by the name Honeybee if he liked it, and Kim Honeybee answered that it was good, but that totally no, and Isabel asked if he disliked being called Honeybee, and Kim Honeybee answered totally. Isabel said that it was strange, he used to really like it when she called his name. And so Isabel called the honey badger by the name Kim Honeybee, and Kim Honeybee answered correctly, very correct, and jumped to Isabel. At the Imperial Palace underground storage, Lord Biotin was walking there and said, thinking in his mind that after a long time returning to the Imperial Palace, he can feel manna from underground storage, it was completely frozen. And he was asking who could have done that, and he was shocked when he realized that the manna was. Lord Biotin was talking with the Emperor and he was being asked what was the result. And Lord Biotin answered that no matter how much he looked around, he couldn't find any evidence. So he tried to catch and beat him up, and the Emperor asked what if he was not the one, and Lord Biotin answered even if he was not, it would serve as a warning to the real culprit. And he never liked Wilhelm anyway, and the Emperor asked if he saw the way he looked at the princess during the gift-giving ceremony, and Lord Biotin answered that he saw it. The greedy look he had while staring at Isabel, that filthy look was unmistakable. Lord Biotin said that he should have gouged his eyes out back then, but he ran away. And said sorry he missed him. And all of a sudden the Emperor glared at him and asked if he missed him, and he answered that he missed him on purpose. And he said that, by the way, after returning to the palace after a long time, he found that the underground storage was completely frozen, and the Emperor was asking what he was talking about. And Lord Biotin said that it didn't seem intentional, it looks like manna leaked out and caused it to freeze like that. And Lord Biotin said additionally that anyway, the surprising thing there was, it seems like it was the princess's magic that caused the storage to freeze. And the Emperor wasn't surprised about it, and Lord Biotin asked why he wasn't surprised. And the Emperor asked him at which point should he be surprised, and Lord Biotin got annoyed and said that he meant it wasn't from natural normal ice magic. But the underground storage froze due to a side effect of some other magic, in the middle of the summer. And if the manna leakage caused that much, then it was really impressive. And asked the Emperor if he remembered the size of the Arena Palace's underground storage. Even an outstanding mage couldn't freeze it like that, even if they use normal ice magic. So it means the princess's innate manna capacity and quality was beyond imagination. And in simple terms, she was a genius. A genius beyond imagination. The Emperor said that it was natural since she was his daughter. And Lord Biotin was really shocked and said that the father already believed that his daughter was remarkable. And he was really speechless looking at the Emperor. Her 5th winter was approaching, time had flown by so quickly. And she had been as busy as the rapidly passing time. Due to Karen's delayed return, she started studying on her own. That made her even busier. But studying magical theories and formulas was so enjoyable that she lost track of time. And come to think of it, Wilhelm was said to be missing. And she was asking, is that related to why Biotin left the palace on a mission? And could Karen's delayed return also be due to her adoptive father's disappearance, or perhaps they were plotting something? And so she told herself to stop those ominous thoughts. She doesn't have much time left, so she should focus on the present. And she was asking what she was thinking with such enjoyable magic formulas in front of her. And all of a sudden someone called her, and it was her brother asking if she wanted to go sledding with him, and he knew a really fun place. And Isabel was surprised, and she had never been to sledding before, and Prince Michael said that it was not that difficult and to just trust him. Isabel was asking if he really was, and Michael answered of course he will. Isabel asked if they would also make a snowman together, and her brother answered yes, especially for her. She was asking can she be excited, and Michael answered that of course. And so Isabel stood up and said that then she will trust only him, and Michael answered that she can only trust only him. Sir Delsa suddenly arrived and said that they can't go out without the Guardian's permission, and Guardian was her. Isabel and Michael was really shocked, and Sir Lancer asked Sir Delsa if she know, and Sir Delsa asked why, and Sir Lancer asked if she know right, and Sir Delsa answered no. Sir Lancer said that even though he was the sword instructor of the palace, and Sir Delsa said that Sir Lancer was not trustworthy. Then all of a sudden someone asked how about him, and it was Lord Biotin, and Isabel was really happy seeing her teacher Biotin. He walked through and Isabel was running toward him, and Lord Biotin said that it had been a long time since she saw her. She lifted up Isabel and asked if she had become even cuter, not that she wasn't cute before, but she had become even cuter. He hugged Isabel tight and said that he almost died missing his princess, and Isabel answered that she missed him so much too. Lord Biotin asked if she really was, and Isabel answered of course, last time he left without saying goodbye, she was so sad. Lord Biotin made a sound and Isabel was asking in her mind, did he just create a heart thump sound effect with magic, and how could anyone not like Biotin? And all of a sudden he asked Isabel what's that rude creature above his head. Isabel got out the honey badger and said that he shouldn't do that, and she said sorry to Lord Biotin and said that the honey badger was her friend and asked if it was okay. But Lord Biotin was just smiling, and Isabel was telling on her mind that she thinks she heard Lord Biotin's inner voice saying she almost killed him. And she suddenly changed the topic and asked Sir Delsa and head maid would they allow her to go out with Lord Biotin. Sir Delsa answered that it can't be helped and they may go, and Sir Lancer was telling in his mind that he wanted to go too. And so Sir Delsa told Lord Biotin to take good care of the princess and the prince, and Lord Biotin answered not to worry. Isabel was telling herself for the first time in both this life and the previous one, she was going sledding and she was so excited. They were already outside and they were wearing winter clothes because it was so cold. And she was telling herself that he underestimated the third prince too much. She was really shocked and she didn't know that they would be sledding in a place like that. And she was asking why on earth was there a teleportation gate in such a dangerous place. The teleportation gate, a kind of magical engineering device that enables instant teleportation using magic. Not only is it expensive to create, but it also requires significant maintenance costs, so not many are installed even within the royal palace. Isabel was telling in her mind the fact that such a teleportation gate was installed on that mountain top. Lord Biotin notices that she was worried, and so Lord Biotin asked if she was okay, and she answered that she was scared and if she fall from there she will die. And Lord Biotin asked if he should hold her then, and Isabel answered don't ever let go of her, and Lord Biotin said that he won't let go even if she tells her to. Isabel asked Lord Biotin if he meant to say her brother sledges from places like that, and Prince Michael said that it has to be that thrilling at least, to be fun. Isabel told her brother that if he sled from there he will die, and Michael answered that it was nonsense, and asked who in the world was that weak. And so Michael took his sled down and wanted Isabel to watch her, and he sled down the mountain and told Badger that they will race to see who gets down the ravine first, and he won't lose. Isabel was really staggered and asked Lord Biotin why they were so serious about that, even Honey Badger. And she was looking down the mountain and said no way, and she will not sledding. She hugged Lord Biotin and said not to let go of her, and Lord Biotin asked really, and he can't help it. In the end, she never got to sled even once and just returned in Sir Biotin's arms. They were already in the castle and Isabel was saying thank you to Lord Biotin she survived, and thinking that his arms must have hurt a lot, and asked if she was right. And Lord Biotin answered that not all, it was his pleasure to help his princess. And all of a sudden Isabel asked Lord Biotin if he knew, and Lord Biotin asked what it was, and Isabel said that maintaining a teleportation gate was incredibly difficult and costly, and asked if she was right. And asked why there was a teleportation gate in such a remote area in the mountains, and Lord Biotin was really shocked and asked her if she knew about teleportation gates, and she noticed that, and said that she was very impressed. Isabel was thinking that Lord Biotin sure exaggerated a lot. Not that she disliked it, though. Isabel told Lord Biotin that anyway, it was really strange and it didn't seem very useful, and Lord Biotin said that it was because, the Elbe Mountains. Isabel told Lord Biotin that she knew that place, it borders Mutanian at the frontier, and asked if she was right, and Lord Biotin answered that it was correct, and he was really amazed that she even knew the Elbe Mountains. The Elbe Mountains are a massive mountain range located at the northernmost edge of the continent. To the north of the Elbe Mountains lies the unclaimed land, and beyond that is the empire of non-humans, Mutanian. Lord Biotin was really amazed and asked how she knew that, and Isabel answered that she read about it in books, and Lord Biotin said that their princess reads a lot of books too. And Lord Biotin asked if it really was, and their princess excellence knew no bounds. Isabel was really shocked, and she almost mentioned she read those books 17 times over. And she told Lord Biotin that there was also something she wanted to say, and Lord Biotin asked what it was and wanted her to tell him quickly, and he was all ears. And she said go Lord Biotin that she feels a bit hurt by him, and Lord Biotin was really shocked and asked why did he hurt her. Isabel said that although it might have seemed like nothing to him, she was really, really scared. And she asked Lord Biotin seemed really happy, didn't he, and Lord Biotin was telling in his mind that it was true that he laughed a lot and found her very cute. Isabel said that she felt a bit upset because it seemed like her thoughts and feelings weren't considered. Lord Biotin was in silence and all of a sudden held her hand and told her that he was just happy, and he was glad she was scared because she weren't scared of the scariest things in the world. And said additionally that seeing her calm in front of those things made his heart ache. He felt so upset and helpless. But she said that she was scared of dying, she was so scared that she clung to him, so he was endlessly happy. Seeing that she liked her fear, he must be a bad teacher. Isabel was saying in her mind that she didn't know, and she didn't think that Lord Biotin would feel that way, that seemed so pitiful. She touches Lord Biotin's face, and Lord Biotin asked her if she was hungry and would she like to eat something, and strongly Isabel answered yes, and she wanted to eat a sandwich and she was really, really hungry right now. And so Lord Biotin said that they will go and eat, and there was a really delicious sandwich place near the royal palace, and asked her if they should go, and Isabel answered yes, and it sounded great. Isabel was thinking that it seemed like her body had a huge appetite, although it suddenly turned out like that, and she was embarrassed. Lord Biotin was giving her a sandwich, and Lord Biotin asked if that meant she forgave him, and Isabel answered yes, and eating a delicious sandwich made her happy. After Isabel and Lord Biotin having a conversation, Sir Lancer and Isabel were talking, and Sir Lancer asked if she saw the guard standing watch at the bases in the Elbe Mountains. Isabel answers yes, and it really bothered her and she felt sorry too. Sir Lancer asked why did she feel sorry. Isabel replied that even though they were in such a cold place, they have to keep watching out for monsters and non-human invaders, they can't use the teleportation gate. But to be sledding in front of them, she felt so ashamed, and Sir Lancer told her that it was not something she had to bother with, they were commoners and she was a royalty. And it costs an enormous amount to operate it just once, so unless she was a royal, it can only be used in national emergencies. Isabel told Sir Lancer that she thought it was wrong, and she believed there was a reason the royals can use the teleportation gate to the Elbe Mountains freely. And Sir Lancer was really shocked, and Isabel said additionally that it was to experience the Elbe Mountains firsthand, to see the soldiers who suffer and dedicate themselves for the peace and safety of the empire. And it was not meant for sledding like her brother does. And Sir Lancer answered Isabel that she was right, and thinking that even though the meaning has faded now, the original intent was what the princess said. But there must be a look that contains that content, which she mustn't have read yet, to understand it without seeing it in a book. And all of a sudden Isabel gave Sir Lancer a piece of origami and said that she had been thinking about something lately, and she uses her magic to make the origami fly on the air. And Sir Lancer asked what she was thinking about, and Isabel answered that she wanted to create a teleportation gate that people can use frequently. The next day, Teacher Karen arrived and said sorry because she was late, and she apologized, and Isabel said no and it was okay. Isabel was saying in her mind that her teacher Karen is always scary, but today her expression seems even scarier. And she had to say it, and she asked Teacher Karen if she remembered when she said that her life was a gift, and Teacher Karen answered that she remembered. And so she came closer to Teacher Karen and said that before she leaves, she wants to leave a gift too. And to be more honest, she wants to leave something that people will remember her by. She wanted people to remember her with good memories, and she reached Teacher Karen's skirt and said that as she saw it, a few days ago, she went sledding with her brother, and because of that, she wanted to create something so that those people could use the teleportation gate more frequently. Teacher Karen said that her heart was very warm, but it was an unrealistic dream, and with current technology and theory, it was impossible. Isabel said that she thought it might be possible. She felt a similar mana flow to when she cast the interpretation spell on Honey Badger. So she made it too, and she was holding a magic stone and showed it to Teacher Karen and wanted her teacher to take a look at this. Teacher Karen looked at it and said that it was a Sibram magic stone and it was designed to emit cold air. And Teacher Karen was really amazed and said that it was a magic engineering theory that she didn't teach Isabel, and she pleaded Isabel to continue speaking. Isabel said that what she thought was to convert the mana flow from direct current to alternating current, and Teacher Karen asked what she meant from it and said that all magic was based on a linear flow and asked how she converted the flow. Isabel was asking herself why was Teacher Karen frowning and if she was wrong. And she suddenly closed her eyes and said that it was scary, and she will say it to the end anyway. And she showed something to Teacher Karen and wanted Teacher Karen could take a look at it for a moment, and Teacher Karen asked what it was. Isabel told Teacher Karen that she created 3 mana flows with the same frequency but different phases. She applied a sine wave alternating current with a phase difference of 120 degrees between each and the same amplitude. Teacher Karen asked what sine wave and alternating current and wanted Isabel to explain exactly what that was. Isabel answered that sine wave alternating current means alternating current that changes in the form of a sine wave over time. Applying it that way makes it easier to step up and step down the magical pressure. By stepping down the magical pressure, she can create a thinner magic circuit, which will reduce costs. And the structure of an alternating current magic generator was simpler and more efficient than that of a direct current magic generator, which will be very advantageous for operating the teleportation gate. Through consistent operation, they can drastically reduce the mana consumed during on and off transitions. And Teacher Karen asked if she applied those theory to the Sibram magic stone, understanding it as using minimal energy and cost to continuously emit cold air, and overcoming the teleportation gate's drawbacks with the same principle, and asked if she was correct. Isabel answered that she was right, and Teacher Karen was thinking that the theory Isabel mentioned was a concept that didn't exist in the world before. And really Isabel was something short of a genius sent from heaven. Isabel was glaring at Teacher Karen and thought that she only had expressionless frowning faces, but she can smile too. Teacher Karen went to Lord Biotin's room and Lord Biotin asked why she came to his room, and it was his personal time. Teacher Karen said that she come to discuss something with him, and Lord Biotin closes the door and said that if it isn't related to Her Highness, he refuse. But Teacher Karen said that it was deeply related to Her Highness. And so Lord Biotin let Teacher Karen and pleaded to sit comfortably. He asked Teacher Karen if she would like some tea or what does she like and does he need more snacks. And Teacher Karen said that everything was fine and he looked like she was going crazy now and wanted him to sit down. Teacher Karen asked Lord Biotin if there had been any strange magical phenomena observed in the arena recently related to cold attribute magic. And Lord Biotin answered yes, and there have been similar incidents. The mana that leaked from Her Highness froze the basement solid. And Teacher Karen pleaded him to listen to her story carefully from now on. It was a completely new approach. The level of side effects or adverse reactions mentioned by Lord Biotin can also occur in the direct current method. If they can systemize and establish it well, Princess Isabel will be more than deserving of an award in academia. And Lord Biotin asking really was, and Teacher Karen said that he seemed calm and asked if he knew already, and Lord Biotin answered that he didn't know. And Teacher Karen was mesmerizing that in the past, he would have been half mad with excitement, and all of the sudden Lord Biotin said that he had grown a step, and Teacher Karen asked what step it was, and Lord Biotin answered that yes, that was what it was, and he was not the same novice as before. Lord Biotin was asking what was the conclusion, and Karen answered that she had determined that she needed the help of a wizard more skilled than herself to complete Princess Isabel's theory. And Lord Biotin if she was saying Her Highness needs a few magic teacher, and Teacher Karen answered that to be precise, a wizard who was proficient in both magical concepts and basic theory, as well as engineering knowledge, and to her knowledge, the only one who had reached that level was Wilhelm. And Lord Biotin asked if she was talking about Wilhelm who hid like a rat, and Teacher Karen was really shocked and asked how he knew Wilhelm was not missing, and was hiding. And Lord Biotin told her that Wilhelm tried to kidnap the princess, so he was going to capture and punish him, but he escaped and hid completely. And isn't it funny that he was rumored to be a great adoptive father who took in orphans, but he staged a kidnapping. And Teacher Karen said that Wilhelm needs her in many ways. Therefore, if she searches for him, she can find him. If he has fled, he will need her even more, and she still has knowledge to learn from Wilhelm, so she will go to him. Though every moment with him was a nightmare and a long winter for her, she must protect the spring she found at the end of that winter. Teacher Karen was in front of Isabel's room and thinking if she should say goodbye to Her Highness before she goes and will she enter. And the moment she opened the door, all of a sudden a sword was pointed at her, and she was asking Lord Biotin what it was. And Lord Biotin replied that Princess Isabel told him that, don't let her Teacher Karen go anywhere. Lord Biotin was acting so cute and pleaded to Teacher Karen, and Teacher Karen was really shocked and asked who he was trying to imitate her, and Lord Biotin pleaded to excuse him for a moment and he was holding a rope. Teacher Karen asked where did those ropes suddenly come from, and all of a sudden Isabel arrived and Lord Biotin told the princess to help him too. And Teacher Karen was too strong for him to handle alone, and so Lord Biotin gave the rope to Isabel and Isabel was looking at Teacher Karen. Teacher Karen asked what she was doing, and Lord Biotin told Isabel to just do as he taught her. Isabel was tightening up Teacher Karen's hand with the rope and suddenly took a deep breath and Lord Biotin told her that she was amazing, and that was the perfect ribbon he had ever seen. Teacher Karen was asking why she was doing it and Isabel answered that she heard everything that she was going to that bad man Wilhelm. Teacher Karen glared at Lord Biotin and Lord Biotin said that he didn't say much and he just mentioned that Teacher Karen was going to a very bad man named Wilhelm, and the princess said no, and Teacher Karen asked why she can't go. Isabel answered that Wilhelm was a bad man, he gave off a really dangerous vibe. That time when she met Wilhelm and she felt such an awful feeling that sent chills down her spine. And Isabel was telling in her mind that Karen was going to such a place on her own. Besides, Karen ended up being the ultimate villain under Wilhelm. And she wanted that Teacher Karen absolutely would not be that. And all of a sudden Teacher Karen said that she must go, and Isabel told her that even so, she can't go. And asked Teacher Karen aren't she tied up so prettily with a ribbon, and Teacher Karen answered and asked that she can't go just because she was tied with a ribbon. Isabel answered yes, because she claimed her as hers. Teacher Karen bowed down her head and said all right to the princess and Isabel was really happy. Teacher Karen said that she will take her leave now, and Lord Biotin said that he was too. Isabel told Lord Biotin that she actually had a concern, and Lord Biotin asked what concern it was and Isabel said that she didn't want to see Teacher Karen leave, but she understood her intentions. So she thought of introducing her to a better person than Wilhelm, and Lord Biotin asked does she know such a person. Isabel said that she read in a book before, that there was an eccentric magical engineer named Taslan, who was expelled from the Mirotel Magical and went to the Irv Mountains. He was a brilliant magical engineer, who later became a companion to the male lead, Arun. The Mirotel Magical Federation expelled Taslan, a notorious eccentric who does as he pleases, to the Irv Mountain range under a prohibition. However, in reality, he was not under any prohibition. He chose to go to the Irv Mountain range on purpose to comfortably research magical engineering. Later, he joins forces with the male lead Arun due to their aligned interest, and becomes a great help to the protagonist as a magical engineer. She remembers the details since he was a companion of the male lead. And she was thinking that if it was that person, she thought they could be of help to Teacher Karen. She was sad and thinking in her mind that the Irv Mountain range was a vast place, it won't be easy to find someone there and Lord Biotin said yes, he understood. And Lord Biotin was asking if he will just have to find and bring that person there, right? Isabel was so happy and agreed readily and said thank you to her teacher, and telling in her mind that is why it was hard not to like Biotin. At the training ground, the Emperor was in training and all of a sudden Lord Biotin arrived and called the Emperor. The Emperor told Lord Biotin that he was working late and Lord Biotin answered that he had an urgent report to deliver and the Emperor gave him permission to speak. Lord Biotin said that he may need to disobey his order, and Lord Biotin said that it was how it is, for now he needed someone who can track Wilhelm instead of him, preferably someone as capable as Sir Lancer. And the Emperor answered that he would allow it and Lord Biotin was really shocked asking if the Emperor permitted it so easily and he thought following Wilhelm's trail would be the highest priority. The Emperor was clinching and said that it was because there are only 15 days left until to fulfill Isabel's request. Lord Biotin was shocked and speechless, and said additionally that anyway, He will be moving to the Earth Mountains and pleaded to grant him permission to use the teleportation gate, and the emperor answered that he will allow it. Lord Biotin told the emperor that last time he told him to go on foot for a business trip, and while he was granting permission, could he also give him unlimited access to the teleportation gate. The emperor asked why he would, and Lord Biotin answered because he was cute and the emperor was slashing the sword in front of him and he was asking what he was doing. The emperor told him that he disobeyed an order, and Lord Biotin replied that if he didn't like that, then at least raise his salary, and the emperor was really annoyed, saying that next time, he will aim for his neck, and Lord Biotin was really scared. Isabel was already in her bed and her nanny greeted her to have a good night, and Isabel was mesmerizing in her mind while closing her eyes that today went safely too, and she was asking if she said anything wrong while stopping Karen. Her nanny was going to leave and Isabel was saying in her mind that it was a good idea to ask the nanny to get the book related to Tayslon. Karen can make a big weakness out of even the smallest clue, so she must be extra careful. And if Karen finds out that she was a possessor, she was really worried, thinking that the holy knights would come and take her away. And said additionally that she can't fry animals when she was 15 years old. And all of a sudden the window slowly creaking and opened, and she was really shocked and asked what was that noise. And she saw that the window was already open, and she was thinking that the nanny must have locked it for sure. She was trembling and asking how it opened and who on earth. She was really scared. She needed to call someone, but she couldn't speak, and she was guessing that it could be Wilhelm. And all of a sudden a black cute hand touched her face, and the moment she opened her eyes it was a honey badger already in her bed, and Honey said that he missed her so he came to visit her. Isabel asked Honey if he came because he wanted to sleep with her, and Honey answered yes and asked could he. Isabel said that she wanted someone to be with her anyway, and if she sleeps with her brave Honey, she thinks she will feel at ease. Honey hugged her and said that he was a brave honey badger. They were hugging each other while sleeping and said that Honey was so soft and warm and smells sweet too, and hugging Honey Badger makes her feel comfortable. Isabel told Honey that it would be nice if they could always sleep together, and Honey answered that he agreed, strongly agreed. A few days later, Lord Biotin saw Isabel walking on the terrace and he called it. Isabel was really happy and dashing through Lord Biotin. Lord Biotin told Isabel that he went to the Earth mountain range and told Isabel to come slowly so that she won't get hurt. And he said that he met someone named Tayslon. The time he was on the Earth range mountain he was being attacked from poison needles to fireballs and flying blades. And he was blocking all of the attack and asked which crazy bastard set up so many magic traps in an ogre-infested Jerma plateau, no less. Then he saw a small house and he was asking if it was a cabin on such a steep place, and there were many magic traps around there especially. And he was thinking that could it be, and all of a sudden a person appeared and he was being asked that he must be a magic swordsman. Lord Biotin asked the old man if he knew him, and the old man replied and said that he was such a cheeky brat, and asked he dare trespass into his territory. And said additionally that it was why he hated humans, and he was striking a magic onto Lord Biotin and make the big stone move up and drop in Lord Biotin standing. And the old man asked why he came into someone else's home without permission, a fool who doesn't value his life. And all of a sudden he heard something, and it was Lord Biotin's sword cut the big stone, and said that to think he would have attacked out of nowhere. He told the old man that they will talk, and the old man asked who he was, and he answered that he was the first chief advisor of the Bylosian Empire, Lord Biotin. The old man smiled and said that he thought he wasn't an ordinary guy, but he was even more important than he expected. Lord Biotin was asking the old man if he was willing to talk now, and the old man replied that he had nothing to say to a magic swordsman. Lord Biotin was really annoyed, and the old man came closer to him and said that if only he was 10 years younger. Lord Biotin told the old man that he knew he hated humans and swordsmen, and he hated magic swordsmen even more. He told the old man that he hates him too, and he thought he was going to develop a phobia of old people, and the old man replied to him to get lost. Lord Biotin had a letter on his hand and said that he would like to, but the princess asked him to deliver that to him. The old man was really shocked and asked if there really was a princess in Bylosian, and Lord Biotin asked the old man didn't he read the news. The old man replied how he would get news in that place, and he was really amazed reading the letter that a mere 6-year-old princess and Lord Biotin that their princess was a little bit extraordinary, right? And all of the sudden the old man said that he still refused, and Lord Biotin was staggered, and the old man said that if the princess really wanted to meet him, tell her to come herself. And the old man was preparing a portal, and Lord Biotin was really shocked, asking if the old man was crazy, and prepared a teleportation spell in the meantime. The old man disappeared, and Lord Biotin was really annoyed, saying that if he will come back there again, he was not a human but an orc bastard. And the old man still replied that they would never meet again, and told Lord Biotin that he was a bundle of hatred. Back in the castle, Lord Biotin told Princess Isabel that the old man was hopeless, and Isabel said that she really needed Lord Tathlin. Lord Biotin told Isabel not to call Tathlin a lord. He was a dreadful person who doesn't deserve such an honorable title, and he can't let her meet such an unprincipled man. Isabel was looking at him and thinking that it looks like Lord Biotin had a lot to deal with. Well, even the main character had a hard time when he first met Tathlin. Isabel was smiling and asked, did Tathlin perhaps ask to come in person? Lord Biotin answered no, he didn't. Isabel was grabbing his coat and said that she didn't like it when he lied to her and pleaded to help her and showed her lonely cute face. Lord Biotin told her that she must promise him one thing, not to leave his side, ever. The Irv mountain range was a dangerous place, and Isabel answered that she understood and said thank you to Lord Biotin. They were on hiking, and Isabel said that even at night, he can see the clouds passing by, and Lord Biotin said that it was so beautiful. Isabel was saying in her mind that the fresh breeze and the sound of crickets were all around, and it felt good. The spicy soup Lord Biotin cooked made her cry, it was so delicious. In her past life, she could never have imagined eating such delicious food and asking if that is what ramen broth tastes like, and camping with someone she likes. Lord Biotin asked her if she liked it, and Isabel answered very much. Isabel was laughing and said that she was happy, and she was really a lucky child. It was already morning, and they were walking in the middle of the forest, and all of a sudden Isabel saw someone and told her teacher to look over there. And it was the old man, saying, who do they have there, and did the orc bastard come again? Lord Biotin was really annoyed, saying that it was the old man, and all of a sudden covered Isabel's ear and told the old man that it was not appropriate and wanted Isabel not to listen to it. The old man was pointing his rod to Lord Biotin, and Lord Biotin told him that it would be nice if he chose his words carefully in front of the young princess. And the old man answered that he was his princess and not his, and asked why should he listen to someone who isn't even an imperial citizen. Lord Biotin was really annoyed, asking how dare he speak like that in front of the princess. And all of a sudden Isabel told the old man that he was a lowlife, and she was smiling. The old man and Lord Biotin was really staggered, and Isabel said that adults who curse in front of children were lowlives. Lord Biotin was really shocked and asked Isabel where she learned such disrespectful words. Isabel answered that there was no need for him to know, and she didn't think he was evil. The old man was asking her what she thought, and Isabel said that she had been very comfortable while coming that far. Tathlin doesn't like intruders. Just as Biotin fell into all sorts of magic traps, the male leader Rune also got injured on his way to find Tathlin. He was injured in the process of finding Tathlin. But if he really hated visitors, he would have strengthened the traps more, or he would have abandoned that place already. The old man said that the magic barriers were just broken, and wanted them to come in for now and hear what she has to say. In the middle of their conversation, the old man asked how many times he had to say that he hates humans. Isabel said that he still made tea for them even though he hated them, and the old man said that it was a basic courtesy. Isabel asked the old man why he worked so hard on magic exchange research, and the old man asked what was wrong with a magician researching magic, and Isabel asked him that actually he wanted to help people, didn't he? The old man asked Lord Biotin if the child was suffering from altitude sickness, and what was that nonsense she was talking about. Lord Biotin was really annoyed and asked in his mind how dare he tell that to the princess. Isabel was laughing and reached Lord Biotin's arm and thinking that it seems Biotin's patience was reaching its limit, and before he causes trouble, she needs to intervene. Isabel told the old man that she was really curious as to why a smart magician like Lord Tathlin was expelled, and Lord Tathlin's research could help many people. The old man asked Isabel what she knew to keep talking. Isabel replied that maybe it was because there were too many bad adults in the world. And bad adults don't share what they have in their hands, and so she thinks they dislike his research, and Lord Tathlin was speechless. The truth was, Tathlin liked people. Young Tathlin had a dream of helping and making people happy. So he wanted to share magic, which only the privileged could enjoy with everyone. Even though the magic tower, who found this annoying, expelled him. He still wanted to live as a magician for the people, but the ones who persecuted him after he was expelled from the magic tower were the ordinary people. People didn't trust Tathlin, who was expelled from the magic tower. No one understood his sincerity. He was harassed daily. Tathlin's youthful dreams crumbled like that, and she suddenly said that she thought Lord Tathlin was right. The old man said that it was all in vain now, that was all in the past. And said additionally that the world doesn't want good adults and they like rich and powerful adults, and Isabel said that she likes good adults. That's why she likes Lord Byron very much, and she likes him too. The old man asked if she did like him, and Isabel told him that she was the princess of Byloshan and she could help him. The old man was shocked when Isabel showed her hand that has the mark of Narvidal, and Isabel said that she was not just any princess, a princess who was in a hurry. Every day was precious because she had less time than the others. She really needed a good adult in her life, so she could fully support him. The old man asked her why she says she needs a good adult so much. Isabel was mesmerizing that in the novel, Arun said that when persuading Tathlin a little more, and she answered to the old man that because she dreams of a just world. The old man asked why, and Isabel answered that because the world gave her a gift of 21 years, so she wants to give back to the world too. The old man was amazed, saying in his mind that a 6-year-old was talking about her short life as a gift. Isabel said additionally to the old man that he knew what, in the palace there was a honey badger that can communicate with her. The old man was really shocked and asked about the honey badger, and Isabel said that honey's fur was soft and fluffy, it smelled like honey, it was very cute and brave too. And when you put his hand into its fur, it feels like putting it into a fluffy cloud and his hand gets buried and he can't see it. The old man asked if its fur was that abundant and fluffy, and Isabel answered yes, very much. The old man said so, and Isabel suddenly said that Lord Tathlin was also a huge animal lover, and she was telling in her mind that she knew he liked hearing about the honey badger. At the arena palace, a carriage was arriving and someone named Reina was being asked if she hadn't forgotten what her dad told her, and Reina answered yes. The little girl was being asked what did her dad asked her to do, and Reina answered to build a good relationship with Michael from Arena Palace. She was being asked again what did her dad ask for again, and the lady answered that her father told her to befriend Michael of the Arena Palace. The one she was talking to was her father, and her father said that it was right and she remembered it well, and Lady Reina said that she didn't like swordsmen, they were ignorant and barbaric. She was asking what if they smell like sweat and what if it was so unpleasant that she felt like throwing up. And her father answered that not to be too rude, he was still a prince and since they were in the imperial palace, it wouldn't be that bad. Lady Reina wanted her father to look over there, and said that there were no intricate magical engravings, just mediocre mid-level marble, and the flooring was just average. Unbelievable, that was the imperial palace of the empire, and how will the world not laugh at that? It was sad that there was not a hint of elegance or grace. Prince Michael was running and saw Lady Reina, and he was asking what are elegance and grace and can she eat them. Lady Reina was really shocked, asking what it was, and so she rubbed her eyes, and her father asked her what was wrong and did she see something. Lady Reina answered that she must have been mistaken and thinking in her mind that someone can keep up with the pace of the carriage while running, and there was no way someone could do that. Prince Michael was so full of dirty looking at the carriage that was arriving at the Arena Palace. Princess Isabel and Lord Byron just arrived in the Arena Palace, and Lord Byron asked Isabel if she was tired, and Isabel answered a little, and the old man was saying that he was extremely exhausted. Lord Byron asked Lord Tathlin if he was okay, and the old man answered and asked if his look okay to him. And he said additionally that if he rode twice, he would be dead, and he was really shaking. Lord Byron lifted up Isabel and said that it seems Lord Tathlin was feeling a lot of physical burden due to his old age. He told the old man that it was late and shall retire to their rooms. Lord Tathlin was really annoyed because Lord Byron was not even listening to him. Isabel was already in her room, and Lord Byron touches her forehead and told her to rest well and he will see her again tomorrow. Isabel answered yes and good night to her teacher and not to bother her, and Lord Byron answered yes to his princess. Honey Badger came up to her bed and hugged her. Isabel said good night to Honey Badger too. Early in the morning, Isabel woke up because it was so noisy and she heard someone asking the servant how long she intended to keep her waiting. Isabel's nanny said sorry, and it seems like their princess was very tired from yesterday's hectic schedule. Isabel got up and asked the honey badger what was wrong. That voice asked the nanny how dare she talk back to her with her eyes wide open. The nanny answered that it was the young lady who came without an appointment. Isabel slowly opened the door and asked what was going on in front of her room. The voice said and asked the nanny if she thought she was worthy of pointing out her rudeness, and she was very displeased, and Isabel opened her eyes wide and asked who is bothering their dear nanny. The nanny apologized if she displeased her, but she said what she thought was necessary as the princess's nanny. She stamped the nanny's feet and said that there were always people like that and they needed to be taught a lesson to realize their place. Isabel was really shocked and asked what she thought she was doing and wanted Lady Reina to answer her. Lady Reina asked if she knew her. Isabel answered of course, and how could she not know the only cherished daughter of the Duke Rosald? Duke Rosald, while the Bylocian royal family rules the continent with force, Duke Rosald is said to govern it with gold. They are responsible for the continent's finance, one of the two duchies that started with the empire, closely linked with the Sword Forest Scholars, an institution to keep the royal family in check. And Reina was practically the only friend of Isabel in the novel. Publicly, Reina was the one who incited and manipulated the villainous Isabel from behind, the worst of the worst. Isabel, swayed by her manipulation, committed various atrocities. Isabel called Lady Reina. She said that it looks like the daughter of the Duke of Rosald, with extensive knowledge in finance and excellent intuition, apparently didn't study etiquette. She told the lady that she recognizes her as Lady Reina and asked if isn't it polite to greet her first, doesn't she know that? Lady Reina was telling in her mind that this half-baked princess who can't even master Bylocian swordsmanship, and answered of course not. So she bowed down and greeted Isabel saying that she was Lady Reina Rosald, first daughter of House Rosald, and it was an honor to meet her. Isabel greeted her too, saying that she was Isabel Bylocian, the fifth princess of the Bylocian royal family, and nice to meet her too. Isabel asked Lady Reina what brought her to her room, and Lady Reina answered that she heard that she had a rare toy. A rare animal that understands human speech and can communicate, and Isabel was asking if she was talking about Honey Badger. Honey was looking at Lady Reina with anger, and Lady Reina said how amusing it was that the toy's name was Honey Badger. Isabel said that Michael and her named him, and Honey Badger was not a toy and he was her friend. Lady Reina pointed to Honey and asked if such a toy would be a friend, and Isabel was really annoyed, saying that she said Honey Badger was not a toy. And calling him a toy again was an insult to her, and Honey Badger was glaring at Lady Reina. Lady Reina said that she understood, and by the way, did she know that she was greedy for rare things, and Isabel was asking what about it, and Lady Reina asked if she would sell that animal to her, and she will pay her generously. She was pointing her finger to the Honey Badger, and all of the sudden Honey Badger bit her. Lady Reina was really shocked, asking if he just bit her, and Isabel was smiling and asking didn't she touch him first, and B was defending himself against her sudden attack. Lady Reina was really annoyed and hurt and asked how dare she blame her, and she will formally raise a complaint. She walked away and Isabel said yes and will see her later. Isabel asked her nanny if her foot was okay, and her Annie answered that she was fine. Not long after, in this room, Chamberlain told Princess Isabel that His Majesty was waiting inside, and Isabel said thank you to Chamberlain. Isabel saw Lady Reina lifted with the Duke and her finger was on bandage. The Emperor suddenly said that everyone was there and wanted to explain everything. Isabel said that before that, she thought they needed to clarify one thing, and her father asked what it was. Isabel answered that since it was a matter of questioning Lady Reina for dishonoring the royal family, she told Duke Rothschild that he needed to put Lady Reina down and pleaded Lady Reina to come down. Lady Reina hid on her father's shoulder and said no, and it hurt, and then the Duke asked Isabel what does she mean by that. Isabel answered that Lady Reina called her friend a toy, and the Duke said that people usually don't refer to animals as friends. Isabel said additionally that Lady Reina demanded that she sell her friend even though she repeatedly told her that it wasn't a toy. The Duke said no, and the important thing was that the animal caused significant harm to his daughter. Isabel was thinking that her touch was very gentle and Duke Rothschild would always be on Reina's side no matter what, and she was a bit envious of that. And so she told the Duke that what was important was that Lady Rayna insulted the Bylocian royal family. Duke Rothschild asked about being insulted by the royal family and did she understand the gravity of what she was saying. Isabel answered of course and then suddenly called Honey Badger and wanted the Duke to look on responding to her friend's name. The Duke asked what does mean, even trained dog responds to its name and Isabel said that the name Honey Badger was given by her brother, Michael Bylocian and her, Isabel Bylocian. In other words, it means that the royal family gave it a full name, and when the royal family bestows a name, it signifies that it fully belongs to the royal family. And she said additionally that despite clearly explaining that, Lady Rayna kept insulting the name given by the royal family and suddenly asked if she was wrong and isn't it clear who was at fault now. The Emperor was glaring at Duke Rothschild and to his daughter, and so Duke Rothschild put down Lady Rayna and wanted her to apologize. Lady Rayna said no and it hurt her, and all of a sudden the Emperor said that the Bylocian royal family only reprimands a mistake once, and wanted Lady Rayna to consider herself lucky. Duke Rothschild bowed down and said sorry to the Emperor for failing in educating his daughter and he will make sure to give her a stern warning when they return. Lady Rayna turned to look at Isabel, and Isabel was smiling at her and asking in her mind to Lady Rayna that she thought she was the only one with a dad and she has a dad too and he was really handsome. Lady Rayna was so annoyed and then she bowed down to Isabel and said sorry, and Isabel reached her hand and told Rayna that it was okay. And she called Lady Rayna a sister and to get along, the Bylocian royal family and the Rothschild duchy. The two families were in a mutually beneficial relationship, but they don't hold respect for each other. The Bylocian royal family provides strong military power, and the Rothschild duchy responds with equivalent financial power. Lady Rayna said that she truly understands why they don't revere her as a princess, but that doesn't mean she will just sit back and take everything. And she needs to make money for the royal family. The old man was hugging a honey badger and he was really happy and said that it was true how its fur was so fluffy and soft. He lifted up the honey badger and said that he will love him to his heart's content and Isabel was staggered and said that she didn't expect Lord Tathlan to like it that much. Honey Badger was asking for some help and Lord Tathlan told Isabel that if she let him spend time with Honey Badger every day, he would teach her everything, no matter what. And so Isabel said sorry to Honey Badger and pleaded to get along with Lord Tathlan, and she was begging for it. Lord Tathlan said additionally to Isabel that he will teach her with all his knowledge. Isabel touched the honey badger and said that the honey badger was going through a lot and told the honey badger that if he behaved, she would give him a kiss later. Honey was staggered and thinking about kiss was equal to marriage and Lord Tathlan hugged her and Isabel was saying sorry in her mind and it was all necessary for the greater good. Duke Rothschild and Lady Rayna already left and Lady Rayna told her father that she hates him. The Duke said sorry and Lady Rayna said that she doesn't care and she hates the princess the most and she hates her to death. And she hates the Emperor too, she hates the entire royal family. She had those teary eyes and asked how could Isabel do that at the end, and if she hadn't taken her hand she would have been branded as the wicked lady who rejected the princess's hand. And she was thinking that it was definitely intentional and she was completely trapped. She was really angry and shouted that Isabel was just a penniless barbarian with not even a peck of manners. And the Duke said that her poor daughter was so upset and told her to wait and he will make sure to embarrass them later and he will make them realize just how immense their wealth was. And wanted her to stop crying, because she is going to have a runny nose and he won't let them get away with it. And a week later, a newsletter that Isabel had requested was already in her hands and she said thank you to her nanny after receiving it. And she was really happy reading the newsletter and said that finally, and she was staggered and said that she finally found it. The Math Olympiad participation notice. Isabel and Lord Tathlan was talking and Lord Tathlan asked Isabel if she was planning to participate in the Math Olympiad hosted by the Mirotel Magic Federation and Isabel answered yes. He asked Isabel again if she knew she needed a letter of recommendation to participate, right? And Isabel answered of course she had, her teacher Karen had already written a letter of recommendation for her. Before the newsletter arrived, teacher Karen asked her if she needed her recommendation to participate in the Math Olympiad and she supposed she was planning to gain knowledge and experience there. Isabel answered yes it was right, and so Karen said that she will write the recommendation letter for her right away. And so Lord Tathlan said that in this case, there shouldn't be any problem and suddenly asked Isabel why she was participating in the Olympiad. And Isabel said that well for the money prize and she was going to win it and become super rich. Lord Tathlan laughed at her and told her that she won't become rich with that money, and asked if she knew how much a house in the capital costs and she wouldn't even be able to buy a tiny room. Get real. Isabel gets annoyed and said that destroying childhood dream, and called Lord Tathlan an evil invader, and Lord Tathlan said that he was a realistic teacher and asked why she ever needed money at her age anyway. Isabel answered that there was someone she wanted to support, and Lord Tathlan was asking about support and why don't she ask her father to help with that. Isabel answered that she didn't want to use the palace's money to support them, and Lord Tathlan asked why not, and Isabel answered that because she didn't want to rely on any other powers. Instead of the palace's support, she wants to personally support them. The newsletter usually lists the big and small incidents that occurred the previous week. And this time, it included a story about a boy who visited the Rothschild Duke's house, got beaten and was kicked out. The boy's name was Namor. He will one day become the wealthiest person in that child, and will lead the new emerging financial family, the Vertigo family, surpassing the Rothschild. And she was telling in her mind that if she became allied with Namor by supporting him early on, she won't have to worry about the Rothschild Duke's influence because of his wealth. Honey was slowly escaping on Isabel's back, then he came home to his mother and her mother happily welcomed him and asked if he had a pleasant day today. Arun answered yes, though he can't remember it well, and his mother said that he seemed disappointed that he can't remember, and Arun answered yes, he was disappointed. Arun said that it felt so warm and comforting and it was a memory he didn't want to forget, so it makes him sad that he can't remember it. His mother said that it shows he had a good time, and if he was feeling really upset, he asked if he would like to take a walk with her to lift his spirits. And his mother patted his head and they went outside to take a walk, and Arun suddenly saw something and he was asking what was that glowing thing, and it was a light he had never seen before. And he was thinking that it was a dragon's domain, so nothing unauthorized should be able to enter. He suddenly ran and his mother asked where he was going, and he checked the thing he saw and said that it was so beautiful and he had never seen such a lovely stone before, and it even seems like it was emitting magical power. His mother asked what he was doing and he answered that he was captivated by how pretty it was and asked what kind of stone it was. His mother answered that well, a long time ago, it was taken and she thought it was a gift. His mother asked if he found it beautiful and did he like it. Arun answered yes and it was beautiful, and suddenly asked if he could have it. And his mother answered that of course, and everything in the domain was his, and suddenly asked what he was going to do with it, and Arun answered that he just wanted to have it. His mother was thinking, and she can feel a variety of emotions in Arun that weren't there before, and the experience of being a honey badger must be influencing the formation of his identity in many ways. And as a mother it was something that made him happy. Isabel was already awake, and the moment she opened the door she was shocked, and someone told her that the flowers and that one called her was the head maid. Isabel said that she didn't know what was going on either, and when she woke up, all the flowers had bloomed, and the head maid answered that it was impossible, flowers can't grow on that land. Isabel was mesmerizing that it was similar to the underground freezer, and she was asking if it was a phenomenon caused by the princess's unconscious and latent powers. The head maid was shocked and asked Isabel what was in her hand, and Isabel answered that it was something she found last night. Honey Badger gave it to her, and Honey said to her that he picked it up on the way. Isabel asked if he picked that up on the way there, and Honey answered that it was for Isabel. Isabel asked if he was giving it to her, and Honey answered that it was transferring ownership. Isabel asked why he was giving it to her, and Honey answered that because it was pretty. Isabel asked if he thought of her, because it was pretty, and Honey answered that it was correct. Isabel was really happy and said that she can't believe such a romantic honey badger exists in the world, and he said thank you to Honey. Honey was saying that claiming complete, contract established, no withdrawal. And saying in his mind that a gem was equal to an engagement gift. Isabel told the head maid that it was what happened, and the head maid said that she had never seen a red stone shine so beautifully before, and Isabel giggled and said that she didn't either. The head maid said that looking at the fully bloomed flowers and that stone reminds her of an old legend, and Isabel was asking for a legend. The head maid answered yes, and it was said that Bylosian royalty used a treasure called the engagement stone to propose to their lovers. And there was a legend that if you swear on the engagement stone and your love fully blooms, the flowers will bloom abundantly in response. Isabel smiled and said what a romantic legend, and asked did her father also propose to mother with that treasure, and the head maid answered no, that treasure was lost 200 years ago. Isabel asked why, and the head maid answered that there were various theories. One of them was that it was taken by a notorious evil dragon. The head maid was mesmerizing that according to the records, the treasure that disappeared 200 years ago was said to be in the form of a red gem. A red stone and fully bloomed flowers, and she suddenly shook her head and said that no, it can't be, and asked in her mind how could a honey badger just pick up a treasure that was lost 200 years ago, and it must be a sign of the princess's brilliance. A few days later, Isabel arrived at the border of the Marotel Magic Federation to participate in the Olympiad. And all of a sudden someone asked who did they have there, and wasn't Princess Isabel. Isabel answered and greeted and nice to see them all there. And that someone asked why that person was there. The head maid was talking to a man, and the man said that no, surprisingly, it was genuine and it was indeed the red tear crafted by Master Sebastian, and the head maid pleaded with the man to check it again. The man said that he can tell because he was of his bloodline and their family's special refining method had also been confirmed. And the man was the imperial gem appraiser, Marco Yermiel, and he said additionally that it was definitely the red tear. The gem appraiser was thinking that he came there because Her Highness requested an appraisal, but to think it was really that engagement stone, and asking how did the honey badger end up with it. Then he told the head maid that he was glad to see that treasure again and he would pay the amount and pleaded to sell it to him. The head maid got it and said that it was not for sale, and the gem appraiser asked if it really was. And the head maid answered that the ownership of the gem belongs to Princess Isabel. However, she can offer it for rent, not for sale. But if he refuses, that is fine, and they will head to the Sun auction house, and the gem appraiser asked if she was saying that she will auction that historical treasure. The head maid answered no, and it will also be available for rent there, and the fact that the treasure exists at the auction house will create enormous added value. And the rental fee of 100 million lumen per year will be a small price, especially since the one entrusting the treasure has a guarantee from the empire's chamberlain. However, considering the historical significance of the treasure and the connection with the Yermiel family, she came to him first. The gem appraiser was thinking and suddenly answered that he understood and Yermiel will pay and rent it, and the head maid said that the rental fee was 100 million lumen per year, and if he agreed, they would only accept cash in a lump sum. The gem appraiser asked about a 100 million lumen per year in cash, and the head maid answered the contract will be renewed annually, and it was a pitifully small amount compared to the treasure's value, and she didn't think it was a burden for the empire's top appraiser. The gem appraiser was a little bit worried, and so he answered all right, and he agreed. Lady Raina was also there at the Math Olympiad, and she said that she heard that Her Highness was participating in the Olympiad, and she was asking if it was true. Isabel asked if Lady Raina was participating as well, and Lady Raina answered yes and asked her if she didn't know. And she said additionally that her participation has been featured a lot in the newsletters. Lady Raina was thinking that she was just a participant for the Olympiad under 14 years old, and what a prize of only 3 million lupin for kids of that level. And all of a sudden someone called Isabel, and Lady Raina staggered because it was Lord Byton. Lord Byton greeted Lady Raina and said that he was Lord Byton, attending to Her Highness. Isabel was shocked, and she was asking if Lady Raina fell for Sir Byton at first sight, and Lady Raina felt amazed and said that she had heard a lot about Sir Byton's reputation, and he was a distinguished aide favoured by His Majesty for his combined martial and scholarly talents. Lord Byton said thank you to Lady Raina, and Isabel was saying in her mind that it seems Lady Raina knows how to recognise a handsome person. Lady Raina suddenly said that, by the way, it was quite fascinating that the Princess of the Sword Empire was showing interest in mathematics, and it was indeed very intriguing. And then suddenly asked aren't she interested in mathematics because she was not good at swordsmanship. Isabel was telling in her mind that it seems like Lady Raina deliberately trying to pick a fight with her, and so she answered that she genuinely enjoys studying and participating because she finds it fun, and asked Lord Byton that it was right, and Lord Byton answered that indeed she was. She was holding Lord Byton's hand, and Lady Raina was shocked and really annoyed, and Isabel was asking in her mind did she provoke the jealousy of a 10-year-old in love, and by the way, who was the person next to Raina. She said an excuse to Lady Raina and asked who was the person next to her, and Lady Raina turned to look and focus, and said that it was Yuri. And she was a commoner sponsored by the Rothschild family, and she wanted the girl to say hello to Isabel and Sir Byton. The girl greets and said hello, and Isabel was thinking and asking if she was a commoner sponsored by the Rothschild family and if she was the same Yuri who was described as a math prodigy in the original work. A 9-year-old girl taking care of her sick mother and siblings and struggling to live in order to receive sponsorship from the Rothschild family. She didn't have a major role in the original work, but she seems similar to her in that she was studying while receiving sponsorship, so she remembers her. She came closer to Yuri and greeted her and asked if she did come to participate in the Olympiad as well, and Yuri answered yes. Isabel said that she knew about Yuri's situation from the newsletters and Yuri was a little bit shy, and Isabel said additionally that she thought someone like Yuri was truly strong and admirable. And she told Yuri that if there's anything she can help with, please come find her, and she was at the Arena Palace in Byelotian and she will support her. Yuri was staggered and touched, and Lord Byerton was really amazed and asked how can their princess be so broad-minded, and Isabel answered that even when Lady Rayna wields a blade made of her tongue, she remains unfazed and she don't want to waste time worrying about such trivial matters. Lord Byerton lifted up Isabel and said that it was truly admirable, and Isabel pleaded Lord Byerton to twirl a little more. Lord Byerton said yes as she wanted, and all of the sudden Honey arrived really annoyed, saying that excessive physical contact was not allowed and he was blocking Lord Byerton's face. Isabel pleaded Lord Byerton to endure and he was her friend, and she asked Kim how did he get there, and Honey answered that he was sneaking by the carriage. Lord Byerton was shocked and asked Honey if he sneaked onto the carriage for the entire 3 days it took to get there, and Honey answered that Kim Honey Badger was a master of daytime naps. Isabel hugged Honey and asked Lord Byerton that Honey really was uncontrollable, isn't he? On the day of the Olympiad, Lady Rayna asked Yuri if she did see Princess Isabel, and Yuri answered no, and Lady Rayna said that it was strange. She asked Yuri if she checked the names posted at each exam hall and Princess Isabel's name not listed. Yuri answered that she checked, but Her Highness's name wasn't there. Lady Rayna was really annoyed, saying that Princess Isabel was an unhelpful princess and she can't stand the princess, but if she doesn't come, they won't be able to see Lord Byerton. Yuri asked if she should find out where Princess Isabel was, and Lady Rayna answered to forget it, and she must have realized her place and got scared, deciding to drop out. And of course, what would the Princess of Byelotian be doing at the Olympiad? She asked Yuri if she thinks so too, and Yuri answered yes, and it seems that way. Lady Rayna told Yuri that she need to do well, since she was sponsored by the Rothschild family. Her results will reflect on the Rothschild family's reputation. Byelotian only sponsors children with talent in swordsmanship, and they haven't even participated in the Olympiad, let alone won. And Lady Rayna was asking in her mind how could a half-hearted princess, who can't even see a sword, dare to participate, and it was laughable. And if Yuri achieves excellent results, it will definitely put the princess in her place, and absolutely it will prove the gap between the Byelotian imperial family and their family. Princess Isabel was really amazed and said that she couldn't believe she was actually at school, the school desks, school chairs, and she was so excited. In her previous life, she was stuck in a hospital room and never got to go properly. While she was answering, she suddenly noticed that the equation was easy, and she was asking if the difficulty was much easier than she thought, and anyone in the science track in South Korea could solve that easily. She was already done and she was stretching her body, saying in her mind that she had solved everything. She was mesmerizing that in the Olympiad, if scores were tied, the person who submitted first wins. And just in case, she will submit early and leave. And so she passed her answer, and the professor asked if she has finished everything already, and Isabel answered yes. The professor checked her paper and said that she may leave now, and Isabel answered yes and asked in her mind why he had that expression. 1 month later, on the day of the Olympiad results announcement, Yuri asked Lady Rayna why they were there, and Lady Rayna answered that to put that annoying princess in her place and to see Sir Byerton as well. The maid told Princess Isabel that Lady Rayna of the Rothschild family had come to visit, and Isabel was shocked and asked about Lady Rayna without any notice, and she was thinking that Lady Rayna must be quite curious about her exam results. And so she told Lord Byerton that they will check the scores later, and Lord Byerton said that he wanted to quickly see His Highness's greatness. Lady Rayna and Yuri greeted Princess Isabel, and Lady Rayna said that it has been a while and it was really nice seeing her. Isabel replied nice to see her too and asked how she was. Lady Rayna looked at Lord Byerton and asked if he remember her. She was Rayna from Rothschild, and it was an honor to meet again the aide to His Majesty, who was so renowned. Isabel was telling in her mind that still as handsome as ever. Lord Byron said hello to Lady Rayna, and Isabel noticed that Yuri was there too and said that it was nice to see her, and Yuri said hello to Her Highness. Lady Rayna said that by the way, Yuri, whom their family sponsors, won first place in the Olympiad, and she wonders if the princess who just attended for fun realizes how impressive that was. Princess Isabel was surprised and asked really well and said congratulations to Yuri, and winning the first place was amazing and she knew Yuri would do great. Yuri was shy and Isabel said sorry if her reaction was too much and she was just happy. Yuri replied no, not at all, and said thank you to Isabel. Lady Rayna was really annoyed looking at Princess Isabel's hand holding on to Yuri, and all of the sudden Lord Byron said that Yuri won first place, and he didn't understand why the princess was so happy. Isabel said that the reason she was happy was that she genuinely thought that all the effort Yuri had put in to get to that point was truly admirable. And she asked Lady Rayna what she thinks, and Lady Rayna answered that she was not even close to Yuri's level. Isabel said that she was just about to check her results too and asked Lady Rayna if she would like to look at them together. Lord Byron gave the envelope to Princess Isabel and said that he was all nervous, and the moment Princess Isabel opened it, Lord Byron was shocked and was so happy because Princess Isabel actually achieved second place. Lady Rayna was shocked and Lord Byron said that a second place was truly amazing for a princess, and Lady Rayna asked that it was unbelievable that the princess came in second place and she will have to file a complaint. Lord Byron was shocked and asked about the complaint she was saying, and Lady Rayna answered yes, and with the princess's status, it was only natural to raise an objection, and she was deeply moved by Princess Isabel's integrity. Lord Byron asked Isabel if she could tell them what went wrong, and Isabel answered that she received a perfect score and submitted her answer sheet first. Lord Byron asked if she was suggesting that, and Isabel answered yes, and she was not in second place. At the Marotel Magic Federation, First Magic Tower. Lord Byron and Isabel came there, and the professor asked if they came there to raise an objection about why she was in second place. Isabel answered yes, that was right. Princess Isabelle turned around and said that she will show them the solution to the problem she solved again. She was writing on the board and someone said that it was really unbelievable, and can that really be the logic of a 6-year-old? The way it's explained was incredibly clear, and asked again how can such a young child convey things so clearly. Princess Isabel said that it was how she arrived at the answer, and she was also the first to submit her answers. That's why she couldn't accept being in second place, so she came there to see for herself. The professor was thinking and said that it was quite troubling. Before the announcement of the Olympiad results, First Magic Tower. They cannot allow the Princess of the Swordsmanship Empire to take first place. This time, even the apprentice of the Celestial Mage, Manon, also participated. If it becomes known that the apprentice was defeated by the Princess of Bylosian, and then suddenly someone said that can't happen, and someone asked what they should do then. And the man asked how about the symbols used by the princess. They were not officially recognized mathematical symbols in the current system. Although it can be interpreted as therefore in context, it doesn't conform to the correct mathematical notation. However, recognizing the princess's abilities, it was deemed more appropriate to impose a time penalty rather than deduct points, thereby awarding the honor of second place, and asked Isabel if she did understand. Isabel was asking in her mind if she made a mistake, and even if the symbols were familiar to her, they are not necessarily standard in that world. She felt sad and said in her mind that she should accept it gracefully. And all of a sudden someone opened the door and asked if she could enter. Isabel was shocked, and it was Karen, and the professor asked what brought her there. Karen walked through and put she was holding on the table, and the professor asked why she suddenly barged in like that and what was going on. Karen answered that Princess Isabel truly deserves the top spot, and the man said sorry, but the ranking has already been officially announced, and teacher Karen pleaded with the man to take a look at the documents she had prepared. A month ago, the princess's solution was flawless without a single error. She even submitted her answer sheet first, didn't she? But the formula, the professors at the Magic Tower will use that formula to push her down from the top spot. They don't want to give the top spot to the Princess of Bylosian, and it seems that Manon, the disciple of Gilgaray, also took the exam that time. And that would explain why the difficulty of the test was lowered. If you uphold the prestige of the High Mage, they will likely give the top spot to Manon. Perhaps she was being overly cautious, but it doesn't hurt to be prepared. Then she asked the examiner if the professors haven't seen the recent academic journals. She pointed to the paper and said additionally that it was odd, wasn't it? He was one of the people who approved her thesis, and asked weren't he was a professor. The professor asked what exactly she was trying to say. Teacher Karen answered that the concept that the princess shared with her, something that didn't exist in the current world of magic formulas. She officially registered that concept in an academic journal, in the name of the princess. And if he looks closely at her paper, he will see the mark, which means it wasn't rejected, and it was properly published in the journal. And he was the professor, who acknowledged the formula from the Isabel theorem. And asked if that should resolve the issue, right? 3 days later, in the city, there was breaking news and a murmuring that the Princess of Byloshan had achieved the youngest top score in the Olympiad. In the 500-year history of the Olympiad, such an event has never occurred, a royal who took the top spot in the 19th Olympiad. Everybody was shocked and amazed, saying that a top scorer from the swordsmanship empire in the Olympiad, and she was only 6 years old, they say. Someone said that it was unbelievable and all of a sudden Princess Isabel came out. Somebody asked if that child was the Princess of Byloshan and she was nothing like the rumors. The child who Byloshan produced, there were rumors that she lacked royal grace, a mere half-wit, but she exudes the grace and strength of royalty, she shines even when standing still. Isabel talked in front of many people and said hello, and she was Isabel the fourth Princess of Byloshan. Isabel asked if anyone had any questions, then all of a sudden someone raised a hand and answered yes. That someone asked that they say she almost lost the honor of being the top scorer, was that true? Isabel answered that she didn't think lost was the right word, it was true that she used symbols she doesn't usually use. Karen was shocked and said that as expected of their princess, it was hard to believe she was only 6 with such a composed demeanor. Isabel said that she just wanted to show something, and she was asking herself how could she not be nervous when it was her first interview. And she can do something well even if it was not swordsmanship. She said to everyone that she was born in a swordsmanship empire, but she was a princess who didn't learn swordsmanship. And there were no defective people in the world, and they were all shining people. The one asked Isabel to answer its question, and they understood that it was a tradition for the top students in the Olympiad to enter the magic tower, and will she also enter the magic tower? Isabel was telling in her mind that she was wondering when that question would come up. Someone asked again that they have heard she already learned magic, does that mean she has decided to pursue a career as a mage? Isabel answered that she has no plans to enroll in the magic tower, and asked why they asked, isn't it a waste not to pursue her talents and abilities? She prefers to study magic leisurely and enjoy it rather than striving to become a grand mage. She was thinking that if she say there that she want to create magic for people instead of war and destruction, she might end up living a stressful life like Taithlan, and she just want to enjoy her short life. She was being asked what she was planning to do with the prize money. Isabel answered that she was going to donate it. She wants to help people who have dreams and passion but are struggling financially. And she was mesmerizing in her mind to Namor, she will invest everything in Namor and she will make the richest person in the world her ally, she will build up a fortune that the Rothschild dukes can't ignore. For their Byloshan she also wants to be someone's gift. Everyone was shocked and all of a sudden clapped their hands to Princess Isabel, saying how wonderful that princess truly has such a warm heart. To think she holds such compassion for those she has never even met, and they were truly moved. Isabel was staggered and the people said that they will live with pride as a citizen of Byloshan. Isabel was really shocked and teacher Karen said that it had such a profound meaning. They have shouted that they will make sure to spread the princess's words far and wide, cheering a long live Princess Isabel, the fourth princess of Byloshan. Isabel was really shocked and asked what was going on. Isabel already came home and her nanny asked if she was alright. She answered that it was exhausting and she can still hear the cheers in her ears. Her nanny smiled and said that she was really amazing and asked if she knew how they wrote about her in today's newsletter. The newsletter said that they saw the sunlight, her warmth was a gift itself. And she had never seen such a sincere smile, it was so genuinely happy that even she found herself smiling. Princess Isabel's smile was undoubtedly a treasure, 1 in a billion. Her compassion for those indeed, the smile born from that warm heart, was truly a blessing for the people. Who in the world can smile with such purity? Her heart was colored peach by the princess's smile today. Isabel was really annoyed and told her nanny to stop, and it was so embarrassing. Her nanny said that she was really proud of her, she even set an example for Lady Rothschild. Isabel was thinking that Lady Raina must be really upset that she took the top spot, and she was always so naughty. And she was asking in her mind what if she takes it out on Yuri, and was Yuri doing okay? And so she asked her nanny if she will hear any news about Yuri later, will she let her know, and her nanny answered yes, she will. Her nanny said additionally that today was the princess's day, so she had prepared a special dinner, and Isabel said that she was the best nanny. Her nanny was walking outside the palace and thinking that the princess will have many more occasions to stand before the people in the future. Since she was the cutest in the empire, she will shine even more in the cutest dress in the empire. And all of a sudden the nanny hears the guard said to get lost and asking how dare she come there. The nanny peeks and asks in her mind what was all that commotion, then she hears a girl saying please let her see the princess. And it was Yuri, kneeling and pleading with the guard. And so the maid told the guard to wait a moment, and she was Ruruka, Princess Isabel's nanny. And said additionally that the child was indeed a guest of the princess, and the princess personally asked her to bring her. The guard said again that there must be about 3,000 people claiming to be the princess's nanny in the world, and she thinks something will fall into her lap just by using the princess's name, and those pets keep buzzing around with donations. The guard shouted to Yuri to get lost like a beggar, like a fool, and Ruruka said no, and there was an invitation there and she was pleading with the guard to check it. The guard got angry and grabbed Ruruka's dress and asked that today alone, does she know how many fake IDs he had seen? Ruruka said okay and to wait a minute, and all of a sudden someone said that it was enough and grabbed the guard's hand off to Ruruka. And told the guard that he shouldn't start with threats like that and shouldn't he properly check the ID first, and Yuri immediately run to Ruruka. The guard was shocked, and it was his captain, and the captain was holding the guard's hand and asked if he checked the ID properly, and the guard answered yes he did. The captain got angry and asked the guard if he was lying right now, and so the guard said sorry and he will check it again. The captain said that there was no need, and she would check it herself, and so the captain checked the ID and she suddenly punched the guard's head and told it that it was a real ID. The captain suddenly said sorry to Ruruka, and it seems she disregarded the princess's will and pleaded to forgive her subordinate's rudeness, and she will visit the princess herself and apologize soon. Ruruka was staggered, and the captain was talking to her subordinate, and Ruruka was saying in her mind what a splendid person the captain was. Yuri arrived at the palace and Isabel asked Yuri what happened and pleaded to tell her without crying. Yuri answered that the truth was, the support from the Rothschild family had been cut off. Isabel was shocked and asked even though she was the top student at the Olympiad, they kicked her out, and that wouldn't be good for the Rothschild either, would it? Yuri was trembling and answered that it was because she was falsely accused of stealing. Isabel was shocked and thought in her mind that she was sure Raina's influence was behind those. They wanted to expel her but couldn't find a good reason, so they falsely accused her of stealing. Just like in the original story where someone tried to frame Isabel. Yuri was really crying and said that she didn't do anything and pleading Isabel to believe her, she really didn't do anything, and pleading to help her this once. She held Yuri's hand and called her a sister, and she was thinking that the children kicked out from the Rothschild were being sponsored by the Pelosi family and it was all connected to political issues. If that happens, they will be at odds with the Rothschilds. Even so, she truly wants to help Yuri, and so she told Yuri that she will find a way. Yuri suddenly sat down and said that she was fine, but her mother. After that the Chamberlain and Isabel were talking, and the Chamberlain said that she had heard the general situation, and Isabel was telling in her mind that as expected from the Chamberlain, she was quick with information from the palace. Isabel answered to the Chamberlain that yes it was, and she was thinking about how she can help Yuri and asked if there isn't a way. Chamberlain asked why she wanted to help her and there was no benefit for the princess, and Isabel answered that she still wanted to help her. She can't just ignore it, her burdens feel too heavy, and she seems to be struggling alone. Then she suddenly remembered her father said the time that she was born that she was useless. And so she said in her mind that she was not useless, and she believed Yuri will become someone indispensable to her. The Chamberlain looked at her and suddenly said in her mind that her resolve was already over. Then she told Isabel that very well, if that was the princess's wish, and as the Chamberlain she would arrange Yuri to be employed as her maid. Isabel asked if it really was, and the chamberlain said that there was one condition that just be fulfilled first. Isabel asked if they needed the family's permission, and the chamberlain answered exactly. The chamberlain said that the matter will inevitably entangle them with the Rothschild family, and Isabel said that she will submit the case to the emperor for review. Chamberlain said that the part was her, and Isabel said no, and she will do it, she will tell him herself, and it seems the right thing to do. The day after that, Isabel was on the dining table together with the empress and the emperor. Isabel was amazed, thinking, and asked her father how often they have dinner together. In her dreams, it felt like it was only a dream, and she was asking if it was reality. Even though Yuri had only been placed as her maid temporarily, she was still happy and asked again if it was happiness. Her mother asked her why she called them. Isabel was really amazed looking at her mother, that every moment was so graceful, so elegant and beautiful. Telling in her mind that her mother was the best, she was amazing and she will be like her mother one day. Her father called her name and she answered yes to her father. Then she told her father that she wanted to make Yuri her maid and asked if he would allow it. Her mother was staggered and her father took a deep breath and said, "What a ridiculous notion." The empress cleared her throat and said that if he said it like that, she would misunderstand. And so the empress told Isabel not to misunderstand, and what she meant that it was absurd for them to care about the Rothschild dukedom's opinion. Isabel looked at her dad and asked if he was mad. The emperor answered that he was not mad, and Isabel replied that he was a liar, and the emperor answered that he was not lying. The emperor looked at her and then suddenly lifted her up and put her on his leg. The emperor touched her face and told her that she should do what she wanted, and Isabel replied that she has heard that even the smallest things can become big weaknesses, and her father told her that it was not something she needed to worry about. Isabel asked, "Will it really be okay?" and her father replied that he was stronger, and that's what she had permitted him to say. After that, Isabel was so worried, and the chamberlain asked what she was so worried about, and Isabel answered that, well, if Yuri becomes her attendant, her family will have to move to the capital too, and asked if she was right. And just for one family settlement, the cost would be over 10 million luden. She was thinking that the prize for winning the Olympiad was exactly 10 million luden. It was not that she was stingy about spending money on Yuri, but if she spent all of it, she won't have any money left to support Namor. And she didn't want to give up on either of them, and she was asking herself what she should do in times like that. Chamberlain said that if it was a matter of cost, she doesn't need to worry, and she will be receiving 10 million luden every year now. Isabel was staggered, and Chamberlain said that from renting out the engagement stone, she will earn 10 million luden annually. Isabel asked if it really was, and the chamberlain replied yes, and Isabel said, "I love you" to Chamberlain, and hugged it. Isabel asked if she will be earning 10 million a year, and the net income will be 10 million, so how much does that make for the annual salary? Chamberlain said to let her go, and Isabel replied, "No way, she won't let go and run away if she can." Isabel happily said to Chamberlain that she was the best. Honey Badger turned to be Arun again, and he was lying on the grass, closing his eyes and thinking that even after coming back in his form, there were scattered memories that resurface. It was dazzlingly bright, just looking at them made him happy, a person who shone as brilliantly as sunlight. This time, he wants to remember properly. As a honey badger, he remembered that he was Arun. He returned into a honey badger, then he was asking where it was, he didn't know who he was. He didn't know, but he missed her. He laid down on Isabel's bed and asked who she was, a shimmering childlike sunshine. The next morning, Arun was still in honey badger form and Isabel was already awake. Lord Byerton and Isabel travel using a carriage. Isabel asked Lord Byerton if Yuri and Mother arrived safely, and Lord Byerton answered that of course. His direct subordinates went with them, so she needn't to worry, and they must have arrived safely. Then all of a sudden the carriage bumped into something in the road and they tumbled inside the carriage. Lord Byerton asked her if she was okay and Isabel answered yes, she was fine. Lord Byerton got off to the carriage and said that he would go check what was going on and what was happening outside, and that's why she should ride carriages on such narrow roads. The guard that was riding the horse asked if they were all okay, and there they must have been scared. Princess Isabel was staggered and thinking that the person had long red hair tied in a ponytail. Tall and imposing, even the silver armor couldn't hide the aura they possessed. And there was only one person described like that in the novel, the outer fortress guard captain, Kyrian. She was really amazed and said in her mind that it was really Kyrian, and asked if the person in front of her right now was her favorite, Kyrian. Kyrian asked Lord Byerton if it was him, and Lord Byerton asked why she was there. Princess Isabel hurriedly got off from the carriage and asked if she was the outer fortress guard captain, Kyrian. Kyrian asked if she knew her, and Isabel was pleading to give her autograph, and the guard captain was shocked. Kyrian was amazed and said that she didn't realize that she was the princess, and asked for her deepest apologies. And she was actually planning to request an audience with her, and she had something to discuss. And by the way, she was the first royal to even ask for her autograph. Isabel hugged Kyrian and said that it was because she was so cool, strong, handsome, beautiful, and she had it all. Kyrian replied to the princess that she has quite a unique taste. Isabel was riding the horse together with the guard captain, and she was mesmerizing in her mind that she couldn't believe she was getting a ride on her favorite character's horse, and that is what it feels like to win as a fan. The best, awesome, and she was so happy. They had already arrived and Yuri was waiting for her. Kyrian greeted Yuri and asked if she brought her mother safely, and Yuri answered yes and thanks to her. Yuri told Princess Isabel that her mother would really like to meet her, and Isabel asked if her mother really wanted to meet her. She asked Yuri if her mother was not feeling well, right, and she would like to meet her herself. She was dashing and Yuri told her to wait. The moment she got inside, she saw Yuri's mother was trying to get up on the bed and said that she wanted to personally come out and thank her. And said additionally that she was embarrassed for not being able to show proper courtesy. She was staggered and saw Yuri's mother was really not well. Then she remembered in her past life that she was really sick and was bedridden at the hospital. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Until next time.